Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Publics Meeting Act has been given by the City Clerk on December 11, 2024, and is amended in the following manner. Posting written notice on the official bulletin board in the lobby of City Hall, providing written notice to the offices of the Daily Journal, Press of Atlantic City, and the Vineland Voice, and filing written notice in the office of the City Clerk of the City of Vineland. Mr. President, I present resolution number 2025-630, a resolution recognizing Carlos Mercado upon retiring from public service effective January 1, 2026.
Chair entertains a motion that resolution number 2025-630 be adopted according to law.
So move.
Second.
Discussion by council. Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Gomez?
Yes.
Councilmember, Vice President Gomez? President Spinelli?
Yes. This time, Carlos, could you come up? Stand center, please, over here inside. Come on inside.
Yeah, hold up. No, he didn't mention. He didn't call me.
I have it.
Got it? Okay.
Yes.
That's my name.
Your name was,
Yeah.
you missed Al's name.
Al?
Take a look at that.
Okay. You said your name, though. I said it. No? All right. For the record, your vote for retirement?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right.
Carlos, this is a commending resolution for the City Council and the Mayor. Whereas Carlos Mercado began his career with the City of Vineland on March 23, 1998, and whereas Carlos has furthered the city's mission by providing valuable public service to the Vineland community, and whereas Carlos has earned the respect and confidence of his co-workers and employer through his many years of faithful service, and whereas Carlos Mercado has earned a well-deserved retirement from the City of Vineland effective January 1, 2026, ending his public service career in the fire department as fire captain. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the City of Vineland extend their sincere thanks and appreciation to Carlos Mercado for a career of loyal and meritorious service, with best wishes for many years of health and happiness. Congratulations.
Thank you. Still change your mind. Yeah.
Carlos, if you want to say a few words, the podium is yours.
Sure. He's shy. He's a real shy guy.
Never shy.
3 minutes, Carlos.
I really appreciate you guys all coming out. For the record, this is the largest. I just wanted to thank council for this resolution and for the opportunity to serve not only the citizens of Vineland, but all first responders across the state of New Jersey, as I served as the legislative chairman for the State Firefighters Union for over 20 years. The decision to retire wasn't an easy one, but I am deeply grateful for the opportunities that this 19-year-old Puerto Rican kid from Center City, Vineland was given. Beginning my career as an inspector and retiring as a fire captain fulfilled a dream that started with a first-grade visit to a firehouse. A firefighter took a few moments to give a simple station tour and unknowingly changed my life. I don't remember his name, but I thank God that he was put in my path. Along the way, many others guided me, including Chief Tramontana, Schifalalio, Hendershot, Finley, and Chief Capelli. I am truly grateful for their leadership and support. Serving the citizens of Vineland as a fire captain has been an honor of a lifetime. I also want to thank the firefighters and first responders I've had the privilege to serve alongside for the last 30 years. We've been through a great deal together, from serious calls and COVID to the loss of Lieutenant Wayne Fowler. Through it all, they stood by me, shared my challenges, and celebrated my successes. Watching the growth and successes of the Firehouse kids has been and meant the most to me. First responder families sacrifice more than most. I especially want to thank my wife, Christy, and my sons, Sebastian and Dominic. They stood strong when I couldn't be there, always doing the right thing. For that, I am forever grateful. It's been an amazing ride from my retirement roast to my first class walkout. Tonight's resolution brings this chapter to a close. My family and I are deeply thankful. Though retired from the fire service, I plan to remain active in our community as I step into my new role as CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of Cumberland County. I look forward to continuing work with the mayor and council to help improve the quality of life of the citizens of Vineland. Again, thank you, Vineland. I am truly humbled.
Chief Shifalalia.
Carlos, on behalf of the City of Vineland and the Fire Department, we have our tradition that we present to you with the thin red line flag, in recognition of your 30 years of dedicated service to the City of Vineland and to the Fire Department. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Rich?
I present resolution number 2025-631, the resolution recognizing Paul Appeal upon retiring from public service effective January 1, 2026.
Chair entertains a motion that resolution number 2025-630 be adopted according to law.
So move.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes. Hi, Paula. Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
Whereas Paula Appeal began her career with the City of Vineland on December 3rd, 2007, whereas Paula has furthered the city's mission by providing valuable public service to the Vineland community, and whereas Paula has earned the respect and confidence of her coworkers and employer throughout her many years of faithful service, and whereas Paula Appeal has earned a well-deserved retirement from the City of Vineland, effective January 1, 2026, ending her public service career in the Department of Finance as Senior Account Clerk. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the City of Vineland extend their sincere thanks and appreciation to Paul Appeal for a career of loyal and meritorious service, with best wishes for many years of health and happiness. And there is also a proclamation from the Mayor as well that states the same. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Chick, you're in trouble now. Rick?
We'll open up the general public comment portion of the meeting. Public comment provides an opportunity for the members of the public to inform the governing body about their views. The governing body prescribes the City Council's bylaws and the New Jersey statutes on open public meetings when engaging during public comment. As such, each individual shall have a 5-minute limit to comment, cannot yield time to another individual, may only approach the podium once during public comment for any one topic. Vulgar offensive language is prohibited, and the City Council will not engage in dialogue with the public during this time. The governing body maintains model courtesy and respect and requires a member of the public to do the same.
Rich, you have a list?
Yeah, I have, first up is Terry Reese. Terry Reese, followed by Kate Delaney.
Please state your name and the municipality where you live.
Hi, I am Terry Reese. I'm a candidate for Congress in 2026. I live in Northfield, but as a candidate, I will be representing South Jersey's 2nd Congressional District. So thank you again. It's nice to see all of you today. I'm here tonight to speak about the resolution before you, the proposed loan of more than $6 million in public funds for the purchase of 2 construction cranes tied to the Data One project. I understand that this vote is technically only about the crane loan and not the full data center project itself, but when public money is involved, even in the form of a loan, it sends a clear message of public support. And once that support is given, it becomes much harder to step back and ask important questions. This is a commercial project backed by billions of dollars in private capital. Data One is connected to Nebius, a publicly traded company, and tied to a massive AI infrastructure contract with Microsoft. Yet the risk, financial, environmental, and infrastructural, is being shifted, at least in part, onto the people of Vineland. The loan appears to be connected to urban enterprise zone funds, which are meant to strengthen distressed communities and create long-term local benefit. What is not clear is how purchasing cranes for a massive AI data center does that, or how residents can be assured that the benefits will be meaningful, lasting, and enforced. When we step back and look at this proposal, the balance is uneven. The potential benefits are limited: short-term construction jobs, temporary activity for some local vendors, and interest earned on the loan. The potential costs and risks are much larger: a facility that could demand more electricity than Vineland currently uses at peak times, upward pressure on already high electric bills, heavy water usage drawn from the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer, which supplies drinking water across South Jersey and is already overburdened. Noise and emissions from air quality concerns from generators and cooling systems, and very few permanent jobs, many of which may not go to local residents and may even be remote in nature. A long-term tax agreement that delays meaningful property tax contributions. This is not a news story for South Jersey. Public resources are committed, private profit flows upward, and communities are left managing the long-term impacts. Just look around at the abandoned factories and struggling malls throughout our area. I also want to ask a simple practical question. If Vineland has $6 million in public lending capacity, what else could that money be used for? Affordable or workforce housing, small business loans, infrastructure upgrades that will lower utility costs, environmental cleanup, or water system improvements. Are these conversations happening as well? And if not, then they should. Let me be clear. I am not against innovation. I am not against technology. I am not against progress. I am wholeheartedly for it, but progress must be responsible. It must respect the value of our community, our people, our environment, our water, and our future. Real progress looks for long-term stability and shared growth, not short-term gains that benefit those already at the top. We know AI and data centers are part of our future. The real question is how they are built and who they will truly serve. Will they be used responsibly to solve real problems, or will the data collected and wealth generated simply concentrate more power and profit while our communities absorb the costs? Other towns are asking these same questions. Recently in Maine, a city council recently rejected a proposed data center after residents raised concerns about environmental impacts and public risk. And across the country, organizations are calling for stronger oversight until the true energy and water costs of these facilities are understood. And this is not about fear, it is about good governance. So tonight, my request is very straightforward. I ask the council to once again table this loan until the full environmental, water, and infrastructure impacts are independently studied. A clear public cost-benefit analysis is shared, and any public funding comes with enforceable protections. Those protections should include local hiring and living wage requirements, workforce training tied to permanent jobs, strict limits on water usage, ongoing environmental monitoring, developer-funded infrastructure improvements, and clawbacks if promises are not kept. Responsible planning means putting risk where it belongs, on corporations that have the resources to manage it. And as I said before, our community, our water, our land, and our people have real value. Companies that want to build here should respect that value, not extract it, while leaving no meaningful positive changes in its wake. Tonight, I respectfully ask you to pause, ask the hard questions, and protect the long-term interests of Vineland. Innovation should strengthen our community, not leave us paying the price for decades to come. Thank you for your time.
Kate Delaney, followed by Brian Halfin.
State your name and municipality where you live, please.
Sure. Kate Delaney of Collingswood, Camden County. And I'm here today as a South Jersey organizer for New Jersey Food and Water Watch. We are a national environmental nonprofit focused on protecting safe, affordable public water and climate action. And I'm here tonight to stand in solidarity with the Vineland residents, of which there are so many in the room. So thank you, everyone who came out. A great show of force here today. Like Terry, I want to ask you to rescind the resolution that would award corporate welfare of $6 million to the company behind this data warehouse. And I would ask you to also scrap this dangerous project. This is dangerous for your community in many ways. We're living in a moment where food costs are up, housing costs are up, energy costs are up. This would increase the cost of living for folks in Vineland if this project moves ahead. It would use billions of gallons of water. It seems that there's also lack of clarity or information that's been provided to the public about how much water would be used, but based on what we're seeing in other places from data centers, the water use would be enormous. As Terry pointed out, this would impact the Kirkwood-Cohansey aquifer potentially in the Pinelands, which is a great resource for our area. And I also want to point out the climate impact. I'm sure lots of folks are going to talk about all of these issues. However, it seems that the project would require 3 frack gas plants. You're not just creating a data center, you're creating a gas plant complex. Your residents would be living near these power plants, which means air pollution, NOx, fine particulate matter, increased asthma, not to mention greenhouse gases. We're a coastal state. If we want to have a future in New Jersey, a livable state, we need to be prioritizing climate action now. This is dangerous for the public. It's dangerous for the planet. So again, I would ask you to rescind this resolution and to stop the plan to move ahead with this data center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Halfin, followed by Reverend Carl Stiles.
Please state your name and the...
My name is Brian Halfin. I'm the Assistant Business Manager for Labor's Local 77. Good evening, Council.
Where do you live, sir?
I live in Mullica Hill, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Good evening, citizens of Vineland. I represent roughly about 300 members that live in this community. The one common theme that I hear through this...
Excuse me.
The one common theme that I see happening in this room right now is we have some people that retired from your community that work in the city of Vineland, which congratulations. Everybody deserves to have fair wages and benefits and a standard of living. We're always for a good construction project. I understand all the concerns of the residents of Vineland. The one thing I can tell you is I have residents that are concerned that belong in my union. One thing that I've heard here is fair wages and benefits. My members deserve on a $2 billion project, if this moves forward, to work and contribute to this community, okay? We can't even get a meeting. We can't even get a meeting with the developer or the construction manager of this project. I'm asking for City Council to help us out. Ultimately, the residents are going to determine, and you guys are going to determine if this project moves forward, but I can say this once again. We have local residents, 300 here in this community, 500 in Cumberland County that deserve fair wages and benefits. Please help us bridge the gap to put our union members to work. Fair wages and benefits are here right in front of you, and we deserve to have that conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Reverend Carl Stiles, followed by Nicole Petrangelo.
Please state your name and the municipality where you live, sir.
My name is Carl Stiles. I live in Salem County. I also pastor in the city of Camden, New Jersey. I work for the building laborers for the state of New Jersey, covering from Cape May all the way to New York line. And our concern, again, echo what Brian said. How do we bridge the gap? How do we get individuals from Vineland to work, our residents? We have over 4,300 building laborers in the whole state. And Vineland is definitely a hub to be able to work here. And congratulations to Carlos and Paula, those who lived here, to fair wages. Again, the trend is fair wages, fair opportunities, and to put members to work. And that's our concern, to make sure that members work, to have fair opportunity to retire like Carlos, to retire like Paula. And, you know, again, as Brian said, that no one has been able to answer calls or letters for this project here in Vineland, and our concern is putting the Vineland members to work as they come and address their concerns to me. I make sure that I address to support our members wherever they are in the towns and the concerns. And that's our major concern, to be able to get a seat at the table, to at least talk to negotiate a project such as it meets our range as far as financially. And they've had ads out that meets our quota as far as our rates are concerned, and they will not talk for whatever reason. But when my members are concerned, that concerns me as well. Again, to be a service to Vineland itself, and to the point when Terry brought out fair wages, people do have to eat. And that opportunity is here for Vineland to be able to support members that live in your community to be able to eat. And that is our concern. So I'm hoping that the board, someone can get us a seat at the table to be able to talk to the contractors to say, why can't we put residents to work? We have apprentice programs. We have things that are in place because we work across the whole state of New Jersey to help towns, not to tell the board what to do, but to work together in harmony to move a job such as this for those residents who apprentices programs that are available throughout all the trades, to make sure that those opportunities, that they can feed their families with dignity and retire like Carlos and Paula. Again, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole Petrangelo, followed by Zach Landacini.
Please state your name and the municipality where you live, please.
Good evening and happy holidays. My name is Nicole Petrangelo, and I am a proud lifelong resident of Vineland. I am here to voice my primary concerns regarding the data center project, which are related to the financial impact on taxpayers such as myself, as well as its impact on the relationship between elected officials and citizens. This project is huge, which has been discussed at length. This project involves a campus measured in millions of square feet and hundreds of megawatts of load. That scale has major consequences for local infrastructure, water use, and the electric grid. The company has already announced large commercial commitments, including a multi-year capacity agreement with Microsoft. So given all of the publicly available information related simply to the scale of this project, it is illogical at this point to act as if it will not have major impacts on the tax-paying residents of our city. Many of those impacts are more long-range, like the environmental concerns, while some are more current. Most pressing for me is that at this time, Vineland taxpayers are expected to back construction financing for a private company in the form of a $6 million loan. There are additional taxpayer exposures that deserve consideration. Large data centers frequently seek payments in lieu of taxes or tax abatements that reduce long-term property tax revenue. They also trigger expensive grid upgrades or rate changes that fall on utility customers, and the promised jobs frequently skew to temporary construction positions with relatively few local permanent hires. Vineland has extensive experience with pilot agreements, so council is, I'm sure, mindful of long-term impacts on school and municipal budgets. According to a recent database of pilot deals compiled by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, Vineland has a significant number of active tax abatement / pilot agreements in place, which places it among the top 10 municipalities in the state with the most significant usage of these development-related tax breaks. A 2010 report by the New Jersey Office of the State Comptroller found that tax abatements result in significant foregone revenue and introduce tax inequities that deserve closer scrutiny. We must not let a private developer offload any cost onto Vineland residents. I recognize the potential for this loan. I recognize the potential for this loan to generate revenue for the city, but I wonder how much, for how long. Is it enough to offset what the city and school budgets stand to lose as a result of any tax abatements? My taxes consistently increase while I live here and I work here and I engage in community here. It is reasonable that I expect the same of big businesses, which typically fail to make truly meaningful contributions to the regular people of our community. I respectfully ask the council to reject or hold any loan in order to consider the potential benefits of some binding agreements that could be tied to the loan while addressing clear and evident concerns that are widespread from citizens. The citizens you represent. Specifically, require a full independent fiscal and environmental impact study, including grid upgrade costs and who will pay for them, and insist on enforceable local hiring and environmental protections as conditions on any loans and additional expansion. Additionally, provide understandable and accessible public disclosure of any tax incentives, pilot terms, and long-term revenue projections related to this project. You can simply say that you hear our concerns, or you can show us that you care about our concerns. As we've all heard, actions speak louder than words. To be clear and concise, Vineland's taxpayers should not be put at risk to subsidize private construction or corporate profits, especially related to projects like this, which severely fail to provide any clear increase or improvement to our community's quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zachary Nassini, followed by Michael Atkinson.
Good evening, Council. My name is Zach Landesini. I live in Vineland, New Jersey. Tonight, City Council is scheduled to vote on a Vineland revolving loan fund loan to Data One of over $6 million to fund the purchase of 2 cranes needed to further data center construction. I plan to shed some light on the details of this loan, as well as illustrate why it is in the best interest of the city to vote no on this loan tonight. Interest paid on the Vineland revolving loan fund is returned to the fund for future investment. For this loan, that boils down to a one-time payment of roughly $350,000. This money does not fund schools, road development, or public resources. This is not exactly the city making money. It is the city generating revenue to be passed on to private developers, likely those friendly with the mayor. The community has no say on how these loans are awarded, so how can we be sure loan awards benefit the community? If the community was able to trust the current city government, especially its mayor, that would be one thing. But unfortunately, that trust has been broken. The interest paid to the revolving loan fund can be contrasted against tax revenue lost by the tax abatement status granted to the developer via the pilot program. The estimated tax revenue lost per year is north of $1 million. Unlike Vineland revolving loan fund interest, this money could have been used as usable tax revenue paid to the city. If the issue here is making money for the city, perhaps the city should consider adjusting the terms of the pilot loan agreement. The current loan pending approval is for cranes needed to continue construction. Driving past the construction, these cranes are visible from Lincoln Avenue presently. If the cranes have already been purchased and are presently on site, what's the rush in forwarding the loan? Why would City Council not push for an environmental impact study, collaboration on an accurate water use study, and demonstration by Data One on their supposed state-of-the-art operational technology before approving this loan. Furthermore, why would City Council issue their approval of how this development has progressed by voting yes on this loan now? Loans should be granted to applicants who have demonstrated the ability to act in good faith. From the perspective of the community, I can assure you this is not the case. On top of the overall lack of transparency and cooperation with the city, the developer has shown a disregard for the environment in which they are building. To date, they have been found to be out of compliance on 16 counts by NJDEP, for which they have been fined nearly $100,000. Accrued fines are a result of violating state rules regarding regulated activities in wetlands and transition areas. These fines are further proof that this developer has little to no regard for the environment, ecology, and community in which they are building. In conclusion, I believe it is in the best interest of the city to not provide this developer any additional funds until an environmental assessment and adequate water use study are completed at a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Atkinson, followed by Danielle Carroll.
State your name and the municipality where you live, sir.
Michael Atkinson, Vineland resident. And real fast, I'm hearing from some people outside that they can't get in, so I guess we're at fire capacity. Nice work, everybody. A few years ago, my wife and I had to apply for a variance at a 600 square foot addition to the rear of a home that we are renovating. Applying for the variance meant that I needed to notify my neighbors, and due to the nature of our property, that meant sending notice to 16 neighbors. And that makes sense. I'm doing something that could affect them. We asked for relief from having to indicate every structure on neighboring properties, and that relief was granted by the zoning board. The development of this data center has had to issue no such notice. It did, however, ask for wide-ranging relief and was granted it. It needed no variance, even though only 1 year ago, it was a finished, perfectly playable golf course that was to be open to the public. Perhaps by the letter of the law, they did not, in fact, need to give notice. But when a project of this size and scope is in development, it is certainly best practice to inform the public and build consensus in the best way forward. Will it consume water? Maybe. No one's really been able to say. Will it be noisy? Maybe. But they split hairs saying that a data center produces almost no noise. But what of the power plants and what of the generators that were initially indicated to serve as backup power, but are now being put forward as a way to get this project online faster? Will it create jobs? Sure, some. But what are the real numbers? Will it produce tangible benefits for the local economy? I guess it could, but some of the tax structures being utilized here seem to preclude that. Will we see improvements in infrastructure that will benefit us all? Who knows? Did the city ask for anything? In some places where data centers have been deployed, the local governments have been audacious enough to ask for things, asking for improvements in return for allowing these massive companies to access our land, water, existing infrastructure, and peace. Data centers are not new. We've been living in the digital age for nearly 3 decades, but the current pace of development is new. Vineland should have had a framework in place years ago. Arguably, Vineland doesn't even have an appropriate zoning designation for a project like this. I live across the street from the golf course being brought to us by these same developers. Their crown jewel, Trout National, the reserve. And I am constantly being told how lucky I am. I hope this sort of luck never finds anyone in this room. They are bad neighbors. Initially, we saw flooding on several sides of the golf course when they began clearing the forest, and that should have never happened. There's constant noise. If it's not construction, then it's leaf blowers and mowers. Some days you walk out to your mailbox and it's laying on the ground, having been moved for a driveway installation. No notice given, and you're having to chase them down to get it repaired. You've got finished greens on the inside and a 60-foot high unfinished dirt mound on the outside for everyone else. These are not the actions of good neighbors. People look at the golf course and they say, fine, maybe not what I would have spent my time and resources on, but it's their land and it doesn't affect me much. But people see how they operate and people form opinions. And now you want us to take it on face value that these bad neighbors will do the right thing with their data center. In reading through their applications, I don't see how any reasonable person could come to the conclusion that they would be good neighbors this time around. I understand the job of this council is to guide the city, to balance the possible good of development against the possible harms of development. And that's not easy. I don't envy you. But all plans must be based on facts, aiming for solid, genuine growth without exaggeration and promoting high-quality, sustainable development. Those who act recklessly without regard for reality, and those who impose excessive demands, and those who deploy resources without careful consideration must be held accountable. And that's what we're trying to do here. I'd love for you to join us in voting no tonight and by revisiting the approvals for this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danielle Carroll, followed by Denise Hazelwood.
Good evening.
State your name and where you live, please.
Some of you don't. I'm Danielle Carroll. I'm a Vineland resident. I come to you tonight with concerns and questions regarding the AI data farm. Interestingly enough, there was no advertisement of the latest, greatest economic development coming here after the NPA Trout National Golf Course development. The latter was advertised to the hilt. To add to this venture, there was a public golf course to be built for the residents of South Jersey and their visitors. Quietly, the Vineland Planning Board had a meeting in the spring of 2024 for the AI Data Center, advertising the meeting in the local newspaper that most do not receive any longer, or if they do, it's by mail 4 times a week or purchased at the store. Then life changed on Lincoln Avenue. The back end of Trout National became an AI data center. Many did not realize this was occurring except those who lived around it and or travel past it daily, and the Vineland city government, as well as other companies in the East Vineland Private Industrial Park. I did not even know that was an industrial park, and I have lived in Vineland most of my life. I'm not sure if Millville government was advised of this AI data center. Most likely not. I say most likely not because there was no environmental impact study completed. If there was one, we would most likely still be in it. It can take weeks for basic assessment, then many months to years to dive deeper. It makes one ask if there was ever a study for golf course impact on environment. However, I'm not here to discuss the golf course. I'm here to discuss the AI data farm and its application for the summer of 2024, when most Vinelanders were under the assumption that the property will be the data farm was to be a public golf course. This is when we took the bait, and then in June 2025, addendums were created to create the switch to what most thought an AI data center, one building, not an AI data farm with several giants eating our electric, drinking our water, and polluting our air with noise. Though my residence is about 4 miles away, I'm concerned about the environmental impact on my backyard. You see, I have a lake. The residents who live around this call it Shadow Lake. I like to call it Brunetta Sandwash. My first question, have you done an environmental impact study or water usage report? I ask because my lake, aka Sandwash, has 3 bald eagles that eat from this water, and their nest will not be far from their source of food. I wonder if the noise from the giants will change their habitat. Strangely enough, Chairman Manders lives on the water as well, and is a proponent for the eagles' habitat. Chairman Manders signed off on the city's plan for the AI data farm. No study. My next question, the water usage. We know these giants guzzle water, millions of gallons of it. Where shall the water come from? The Kirkland-Cohansey aquifer? I doubt it. Right now, the aquifer is significantly stressed because of overpumping and potential overuse through the state, as well as drought conditions for the last 2 years. Did you know that this aquifer is protected by the state and federal government? The glorious protected pine barren sits upon it, leaving me to wonder, will the city try to steal my sand wash water, claiming it as city sources or because it has street runoff? Recently, Lincoln Spring Magnolia Roads had road work done. Was this a way of laying plumbing down to take out the water? You all should know that our sand washes and blue holes are fed by springs as well as runoff water. I'm guessing these springs are part of the aquifer because it is fresh water. No study. So if you choose to not do the studies or for the environment or water, there will be hearty fines to pay. Perhaps the loan for the AI data farm will borrow from the city to use it to pay for these fines as you destroy East Vineland's environment. If you have the studies, please make public. Otherwise, prepare for deeper probes of this bait switch scam. As I close, I implore you not to vote for the loan and ask for a pause on all construction until an environmental impact study has been completed, as well as a water study done properly. Since these did not occur prior to the first building going up in the new type of farm that you think will improve South Jersey. Thank you for your attention to mine and many others' concerns this evening. Hope we have a town hall meeting with you to discuss all the questions regarding this.
Thank you.
Denise Hazelwood, followed by Carly Saul.
State your name, please, and where you live.
My name is Denise Hazelwood, and I have been a Vineland resident for 18 and a half years, more or less. I've raised my children in Vineland. They've attended Vineland public schools throughout their entire educational experiences. And I oppose this project. The way this project has come about has been very sneaky, in my opinion. From the property was supposed to be a golf course. Okay. But then it quietly turned into a data center, and a very noisy one, according to the people who live near it, that keep them up at night when they're trying to sleep. Now the plan is to expand it into a monster AI data center, one that will drain electrical and water resources. When did Vineland residents vote for this? I want Vineland to support small businesses like Latour Hardware, and I have one of their pens I've been using tonight. Certified Auto Repair that I go to quite frequently. Al's Shoes, who, provides the shoes for my kids' feet and my husband and me too. But I don't think that this project is really supporting Vineland or its residents. During my admittedly limited research of AI data centers, I learned that these centers are generally operated by shell corporations and hide behind non-disclosure agreements and other corporate shell games to avoid accountability. Those who have painstakingly researched such companies found that they are ultimately controlled by giant corporations like Microsoft, as I learned tonight is one of the clients for the Nebius Group and Data One, and Amazon, run by Jeff Bezos, and Meta, Elon Musk, and so on. These people and companies are exploiters, not contributors. I see no reason to allow this project to continue, much less to have been started in the first place, because I see no real benefit for Vineland citizens, only potential problems: drains on the water resources and electricity that could potentially prioritize this data center over Vineland residents, not to mention associated increases in health problems, utility costs, environmental costs, and taxes to pay for the incentives. Please do not enable the richest few in our country to further enrich themselves at Vineland residents' expense. Please do not incentivize them by offering multi-million-dollar loans and allow their establishment and expansion bypassing protections like environmental impact studies and accountability protections. It strikes me as highly irregular the way that the current data center got here in the first place, and I am currently regretting my votes for Mayor Finucci. And the city council members who have allowed the project to get this far in what appears to be such a sneaky, underhanded manner. In short, I don't support this project of a privately owned, taxpayer-supported AI center in Vineland. It seems to me to be just another scam to make the rich richer by gouging Vineland residents in multiple ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carly Saul, followed by Avery Iveson.
Please state your name, where you live, please.
Hello, my name's Carly Saul, and I'm a Vineland resident.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Carly Saul, but it may do me more good by saying that I'm John Zagari's granddaughter. This may seem like a strange way to begin a statement, but I promise that there's a point. My grandfather was a pillar of this city, serving on the Cumberland County Recreation Commission for 35 years and the Vineland Zoning Board for 25 years. I know that most of you on the council knew him and his character because you mentioned it to me and my mother at the November 10th meeting. Like him and my mother, I'm a lifelong resident of Vineland. I chose to come back to the city that I grew up in to raise my own family, start my own business, and hopefully live out the rest of my days, but the current situation with the AI Center has me genuinely concerned. At this juncture, I'm not naive enough to think that you're going to actively stop the progress of the center being built on Lincoln Avenue. There are too many connections with the powers that be, whether you want to admit it or not, and unfortunately money is the only motivator in this particular situation. I'm not sure if you are aware that these AI companies are targeting impoverished areas with little education because they truly see the residents as stupid and disposable. Unfortunately for you and for them, that isn't the case in Vineland, but what an absolutely embarrassing moniker to have attached to our city. I personally don't consider myself stupid or disposable, but it makes me wonder if you think that we are. Transparency hasn't been at the forefront of this project, and at this point, I feel like it'd be asking too much of you to be upfront and honest, but there is still time for a bit of humility. There are many more concerns that I know other Vineland residents have spoken about. Tonight, however, I hope to appeal to your hearts rather than your pockets. I truly hope that you are considering the legacy that you're potentially ruining by allowing this AI center to be built. I know that my grandfather and all of the men who helped shape Vineland would have done their due diligence for the betterment of our town. Sadly, I don't know if I can say the same for this current administration. I spent many afternoons with my grandfather walking properties and taking notes on zoning board issues, so I know what work can go into the job. At that initial meeting that I attended, I was shocked to see you all sitting up there acting as if you didn't know many details about a multi-million-dollar campus being built on your city's soil. As more information comes out, it's obvious that you're hiding behind men more powerful than you, which is a shame. I hope that when your terms are over, the legacy that you're leaving Vineland is one that will inspire people to say hello to your children and grandchildren even after you're gone. I hope that there's a line wrapped around Roan Funeral Home like there was for my grandfather of people waiting to give you one final thanks for the impact that you've had on our town. This is about keeping Vineland ahead of Bridgeton and Millville, which have already fallen victim to the greed of their leaders. If you truly cared about the place that you represent, I implore you to hear my words and really think on them. Don't give Data One the satisfaction of being right. We're not uneducated, but that impression lies in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Avery Iveson, followed by Samuel Connor.
State your name, please, and where you live.
Avery Iveson. I live in Vineland. I want to urge the city to stop further construction on the AI data center and to consider not just the environmental but the personal ramifications it will wreak on our community. Data centers such as these have been proven to hurt the environment and therefore our communities via pollution, loud noise, and by damaging the fresh water supply that citizens such as yourselves use in your homes. I am concerned over the secrecy behind not just the initial construction, but also the continuing efforts to further construction, which you have not been transparent about, as given the fact that citizens were told the lot was going to be used for a golf course. I am also concerned about the energy and the water consumption. Data centers guzzle our fresh water supply and have used more water than all of the bottled water companies combined this year alone, and are known to pollute the water when it is put back into the area's water supply. By allowing the data center to guzzle our fresh water supply, you will not only be hurting your citizens, but also the farmers that live and work in this city. All in all, I urge you to put your citizens over money for technology that nobody wants and use it to better help our community and to consider the environmental ramifications this data center will cause. I would like a livable planet to enjoy when I am older. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Samuel Connor. Samuel Connor.
State your name, where you live, sir.
Yes, Samuel Connor, a longtime resident of Vineland.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. So I guess to begin with, I'm one of the many people who did not know that this was happening, that this data center was being built. Sorry.
Speak loud
yes.
into the mic, sir.
I'm one of the many people who didn't know about this data center until I learned about it through friends and family after it was too late to make any public protest. And I'd like to suggest that you consider revising the current rule that allows things like this to be noticed in a newspaper. And really, everybody who's going to be affected by this should get a letter the way we used to do. So that's number one. And now number two is something I would have said if I had received such notice, earlier in the year or late last year when this was happening. I want to urge City Council to have great caution about expanding this facility. I don't know whether it's possible to stop it now. If it is possible, I hope you would, but even if it's not, I would urge great caution about expanding it. And my reason is going to sound maybe a little bit wild to you, but does anyone here remember the telecommunications infrastructure investment bubble of the 1990s? It was massive. Enormous amounts of fiber optic cable was strung by companies that thought they were going to be able to sell telecommunication services to Americans and American companies, and they ended up overbuilding. There was too much. A lot of companies lost a lot of money. A lot of banks weren't able to, their loans weren't repaid because the companies didn't have the revenue that they were expecting because there was too much capacity. Now that bubble had a very bad impact on the companies that were involved and on their funders, the banks. But the infrastructure actually ended up being useful in the long run because it became the backbone of what was then the internet. Those old dial-up modems and things. Because there was so much more. Long distance became cheap. Internet access became cheap. So that bubble had a silver lining to the dark cloud, but this bubble may not. And the reason, well, I don't know if this is permitted, but I would, at the end of my presentation, I got 2 minutes, I'd like to present some documents to your record keeper for your consideration. Yep. So, and I found this stuff, I've been aware from my reading, okay, here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. It took me just a few minutes to find this in a couple hours before I came out here tonight. So there's 4 documents, and I'm just going to describe them for the benefit of the hearers. You folks here can find these as well. So there's a Wall Street Journal item from September called "Spending on AI is at epic levels. Will it ever pay off?" The basic conclusion is that it probably is not. There's going to be real economic problems. Now that's only the beginning of it's behind a paywall, but you get the gist. The second is an item by Edward Zitron on the economics of generative AI. The title is Why Everybody is Losing Money on AI. The companies that are providing these services are not making money now, and the economics is such that scaling up to bigger is not going to solve the problem. And the economics is actually such that the cost to answer queries exceeds what customers are willing to pay. So even if the infrastructure is marked down in a fire sale, the operating cost exceeds the revenue possibilities. The third item is by Gary Marcus on the fundamental limitations of large language models. And the title is something like, I didn't write it down, but it's like, $1 trillion is a terrible thing to waste. And finally, there's a recent article in The Atlantic titled, Just How Bad Would an AI Bubble Be? And it's more of a larger consideration of the economic fallouts for the wider economy if we have a collapse in AI. So I just don't think we should be putting more money into this. If you want to pursue this in the future, push it back 6 months and see if in fact it is a bubble and we're going to regret putting lots and lots of money into this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak that hasn't signed a form? Is there anyone else? Please step up. Say your name, the municipality where you're from. You have it, Phil. Did you fill one out, ma'am?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Ann Bassano, longtime Vineland resident. I come here with one simple question. Who will benefit from this data center and who will be harmed by it? On its website, Data One makes lots of claims and promises about sustainability and a greener digital future. But since it is a new entity in the United States, we have no evidence that they are willing or able to back up those claims. What we do have is a massive amount of evidence that the over 4,000 data centers which already exist or are currently under construction in the United States are deeply detrimental to the residents of the towns where the centers are located. The main factor of these harms these centers cause is the incredible amount of energy and water needed for these centers to operate, and the burden of the use of those resources is carried by the residents. 2 weeks ago, U.S. senators launched a probe into the increased energy prices caused by data centers. They cited a study which estimated that electricity prices have increased by as much as 267% in the last 5 years in areas located near significant data center activity. Even if prices in Vineland don't go up that much immediately, Data One is already planning to expand the current development to 37 acres, which would undoubtedly impact the cost for residents in the near future. Add to that the massive amount of water these data centers use and the impact it will have on a town whose major industry is farming. Then we come to the issue of water, air, and noise pollution caused by data centers. The University of Tennessee recently reported that the AI data center in Memphis, which opened in 2024, has caused the nitrogen dioxide concentration levels in the surrounding area to jump 79% in 1 year. In addition, the residents of the area report that there is a foul odor in the air so strong that they cannot open their windows. And the noise pollution generated by the centers can reach levels that are harmful to human health and the surrounding environment. The timing of the construction of the AI data center in Vineland could not be worse for the residents. At a time when we are facing increasing prices in all areas of life, the last thing we need is an increase in our utility bills. This issue is so important that it was a major talking point in the recent gubernatorial election. And at a time when people are at risk of losing their health insurance, why are we welcoming a facility that will negatively impact the health of our residents? In addition, Governor Murphy recently issued a statewide water supply drought warning and urged residents and businesses to reduce water use. But Vineland is going forward with a data center that will use gargantuan amounts of water, which will undoubtedly impact our residents as well as our farms. I don't need to tell anyone here that Cumberland County is the poorest county in New Jersey. We are not a wealthy town. And yet this developer has been granted a 20-year tax abatement, and City Council is actually considering a $6 million loan for this center. As for job creation, any jobs that are created will be temporary, but the damage to the city will be long-term. We don't need to speculate about what will happen to Vineland. We only have to look at what has already happened to other towns. We don't need to take the word of corporations who have a financial interest in convincing the public to simply trust them. The only thing we need to do is consider the source and remember the motive. So I ask again, when the residents will be paying for this data center in higher utility prices and an increase in water, air, and noise pollution and getting nothing in return, who exactly is benefiting from this? Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, please, where you live.
My name is Rhiannon Clark. I live in Millville, on the other side of Union Lake, so just a few miles from where this data center is going to be put up. And I also did not know that this was happening until 2-3 weeks ago, which is interesting because I'm all over this issue. First thing I just wanted to know is if anybody in my community here tonight is in support of a data center in Cumberland County. No. Also interesting to me, I want to read some quotes from some people who live in communities that have already put up data centers. Quote, "I've been here 81 years. I can't stay here." Quote, "My mom has been here her whole life, 82 years. She's not happy about it, but she does want to leave." Quote, "My neighbor was washing my clothes and messed up a whole load of whites because it came out stained from that brown water." A conversation between a journalist and a resident. "Do you feel like it's safe to drink?" "No, I buy water." "Have they addressed that?" "No, they haven't." "Have you gotten any information at all?" "No, none at all." Quote, "This is my water pressure in my kitchen, a trickle." Quote, "This is where I fill my buckets to flush my toilet." Quote, "I can't breathe at home. It smells like gas outside." Quote, "You know when you light your stove and the gas seeps with that little ticking noise? That's what it smells like." Quote, "My electric and gas bill is more than my car payment." Quote, "The light pollution is we don't have to have a nightlight in the house. You can walk around the house at night and see everything. It's that bright." And my favorite quote, a lawyer for Microsoft, quote, "Nobody really wants a data center in their backyard. I don't want a data center in my backyard. Data centers, once they're operational, don't bring a lot of jobs." So how do data centers impact communities? Jobs, a few dozen specialized jobs, usually hiring remotely. Electric, bill increases, extreme added burden on the grid. Air quality, increased ER visits due to asthma, COPD, and other breathing issues. Water, loss of water pressure in homes, water tainted with sediment, unsafe to drink, aquifer strain, which, by the way, South Jersey already has issues with our aquifer due to overusage and multiple years of droughts in the summer. Cumberland County is the poorest county in New Jersey. This isn't happening to help our county. It's happening to take advantage of our county. These data centers are only popping up in the poorest communities in our countries because the wealthy people do not want them. They make people sick, they steal our resources, water pollution, air pollution, noise and light pollution, and what do we get in return? Because it ain't jobs. Three counties in Indiana have put a moratorium on building data centers. Several in Georgia, Missouri, Illinois, Arizona, across the country, communities are protecting themselves from this poison. Are we going to allow it in Cumberland County? I want to ask the council, where will you go when the water stops flowing out of your faucets? Where will you go? Where will you go when the air smells like gas and makes you sick? Will you look around for a community whose leaders had the spine to say no to these billionaires? Or will you stay in Cumberland County and offer your children what is left of it to inherit? Thank you.
State your name, please, and where you live.
Good evening. My name is Tim Alexander. I live in Galloway Township, Atlantic County, New Jersey, but I am a native son of Vineland. I grew up here. I graduated from Vineland High School. My first job was at ShopRite on Delsey Drive. 40 years ago, I met my wife here. We have our first two children through Newcomb Hospital. This is my hometown. This is my interest. I am a candidate for Congress in New Jersey 2nd, but I'm not here to make a political speech. I'm here to tell you about your responsibility as leaders. You've heard so many speeches and so much information, and you're going to hear more. I'm imploring on you as town leaders, as leaders of your community, you must listen to the people. You must react, and you must act in their best interests, if not your own. There are several major concerns that I like to raise. I am also a civil rights attorney and civil rights activist. And when we talk about the poor counties in this state of New Jersey, we have the three poorest in our district: Atlantic, Cumberland, and Salem. Cumberland being number one. We need opportunities, not drains. We need to understand fully the impact of the environmental. That pamphlet that was handed out today said there was a benefit to the environment, but I was on page 1 in a paragraph. I looked through it, I looked up and down it, I couldn't find how would this be a benefit to the environment. And I don't think we have time here, and I understand that this project is underfoot and we're in the 11th hour, so to speak, going into the next phase, but nothing prevents you from exercising your leadership, your authority to put the brakes on this project. I'm going to talk because I don't want to abuse my time, but here, this is an opportunity not only to put the brakes on it, but to use some of the money that you've earmarked for this project to hire an environmental group, consulting group, and get a real impact study. I understand that most likely you had environmental impact study, but was it the same that you used for putting in a Wawa or for putting in a mom and pop store, or was it unique for the impact that data centers bring? That's why you need an environmental firm to come in and study the grounds, study the noise, study the energy impact, and the pollution that the generators are going to create. There's a lot to be done here. But this is your job. When you decided to run for this office and you raised your hands and you took the oaths of office, it was for this moment, not for the ribbon cuttings, not for the photo ops, but for this moment to show up and represent your people. I'm imploring you to do so as a fellow politician, as a fellow leader. This is the time. These are the hard decisions that you must make. Again, this is not a political speech. It's about sharing with you leadership, sharing with you, reminding you that you have heard so much from so many, and you're going to hear a lot more before this night's over. Take that opportunity to listen to the people, put the brakes on the project, and get a real environmental study, impact study done before allowing this to proceed. The issues of the loan, again, you might want to revisit the terms of that loan, particularly the interest rates, because nowhere in America can you get a loan with that kind of deal. So I'll end with this. I love this city. We come back every year to see the Christmas lights. So I was a little disappointed I got here too early and they weren't on yet. But the bottom line is this is my hometown. And I want nothing but success for it, and I will depend and rely and beg and pray for you all to do the right thing. Thank you.
Your name, where you live, sir?
My name is Roger Merle, M-E-R-L-E. I live in Malaga. I am from Vineland, a proud person expelled from Vineland High School before I graduated. I'm still proud of it. I'm going to speak as a lifelong socialist, which I know is a dirty word in most places. What we're watching here is capitalism in progress. There are economic benefits which have not been properly explained that nobody can explain because there aren't going to be any. There's an AI bubble that's going to burst, and it's going to take the entire, not just the U.S. economy down with it, but the global economy. And when that happens, this is going to make the Great Depression look like a picnic. The economic benefits are all flowing to a top of elite investors, multimillionaires, billionaires, who could afford to pay for every damn penny of this out of their own pockets. And why any elected official would say, oh no, keep your money, we'll throw taxpayer money at you. And we'll make sure you don't have to pay full property taxes for, what, 25 years? Ridiculous. Can you ensure that this thing's going to be in operation in 25 years? No, you can't. On the other hand, wherever you have economic benefits, you have social costs. And what are social costs? Health care. When you pollute the environment, health care costs skyrocket. And you've heard that from enough people who can verify it. There's environmental costs. What happens when you suck all the water out of the aquifer? Where are you going to get more? And if you can get it, how much is it going to cost? What does it do to agriculture? To the union member who was complaining about, oh, well, we have to eat. Guess what? We all have to eat. It's not unique to him. Or the special interest he represents. On the other hand, we all need water. We all need clean air. And when your air is polluted, your water is polluted if you have any, again, the social costs go up. And who pays for the social costs? Well, they're all out of pocket for the victims, especially in this environment where the social safety net, thanks to Trump and the Republicans, has been shredded to nothing. And my closing remark is that as public officials, if you did not take the social costs into account when this was first pitched to you, you're in the wrong line of business. Thank you.
State your name, please, where you live.
I am Diane Garrity. I live in Vineland City. And last time we were here, Mr. English said there were positives. If this is supposed to be positives, I don't know who did the research. There is nothing in here that is positive in any way, shape, or form. To begin with, I work at Vineland High School with the special ed children, which I told you last time. They go out and they help in environmental places. They aren't going to be able to do that if we're polluted. What water are you drinking? Because I know I'm not. When my child or my grandchild gets cancer, you coming to foot the bill? Because the ACA subsidies were not extended. And I can't put my grandchildren on my health insurance. And my daughter is disabled. So when she loses her Medicare and her Social Security the way the federal government's talking, I am responsible for those children who already have asthma. One of the issues my daughter has is asthma. When she's hospitalized, you gonna come pay for the babysitter? Because I don't have it. I work 2 jobs at 57 years old. Every time I think I'm getting ahead, the government does some shady stuff and I end up behind. Currently, Wawa is working me 4 hours a week thanks to Trump's tariffs. I don't need you raising the electric bill that I'm already struggling to pay. My daughter has never been able to work. She collects off her father's Social Security. That means my 27-year-old daughter, who is allowed to be a mother, I don't care who says what. She has 3 children. gets $800 a month total. She gets no extra for having her children. She gets food stamps, but she does not get any raises like that's going to help her. She had a right to have children. It's not her fault she was born disabled. It's not my fault she was born disabled. But what you guys are going to pull with this data center, tell me, when she's hospitalized with her asthma, are you coming to my house to babysit the grandchildren so I can get the third job? Are you coming to my house to pay for the bottled water when I can't drink my water anymore? Are you coming to my house and paying the electric bill that I already struggle to pay working 2 jobs? Because nobody is getting paid a living wage today. Nobody. People say, oh, you should have gone to college. I'm sorry, I was a little busy. I was raising 3 children. And I had a disabled husband who was not disabled when we had them. You need to really hear people. Poisoned water? Come on. Did you never see the Lorax? I'm 57. I've seen both versions. And Mr. English, you remember me of that creepy little guy in the second one. When there are no trees, we will be unable to breathe. When the last fish is dead, we will be unable to eat. When the water is gone, you won't even be able to shower. You know what you need to do? You know what you need to do with your money? Take some of it and make a decent homeless shelter for the mentally ill people hanging out behind Park Wawa. Their families have given up on them. Their families don't help them. Those people are living on the streets in the cold, and thanks to our lovely president, they're now getting harassed by the police to move. Where would you like them to move? Maybe they can put their tent in your backyard.
My name is Brianna Baker. I've lived in Vineland all my life. I was actually a Newcomb baby. We are all here tonight to express our concerns, which I really do hope you take into consideration. I don't want just nodding looks. I want you guys to actually think about what we're saying. Especially as a young woman, like many others are young, it's really important. The world as we know it is turning completely electronic. Everything is digital. Answers are at the tip of our fingers. But at what cost? With that being said, the AI data center should have never been approved. This decision has no regard for your neighbors, friends, and your family. The audacity from Data One to ask for a loan from a town already struggling is outrageous. Have you been to our schools? Are you driving on the same roads as we are? Do we live in the same town? We are supposed to be able to trust our leaders to make ethical decisions for us. Where is that? Instead, we are shown greed and lack of care, which is really sad. To support and aid with any of this project is pure ignorance. Think about the strain and the burden you have now brought this town. Is it worth it? Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, sir, where you live.
Hi, my name is Victor Faust, and I live in Millville. And I also just found out about this data center maybe about 2 months ago. I was already wary of the golf course because, don't know if you know this, but golf courses also consume a lot of drinking water. And I was already worried about that because Mike Trout seems to care for South Jersey, but time and time again, he's kind of showed that he's a bit of a fraud, but that's neither here nor there. My problem with the data center comes just like everybody else's. I've heard all the talk tonight about drinking water. And let's be real for a moment. These things can only consume clean drinking water. They cannot consume salt water, gray water, or even rainwater. It is only clean drinking water. And you've heard from everybody else here tonight about how that's going to, affect everybody. Another thing I'd like to touch upon, and we've heard about the wasteful impacts, such as e-waste. There are only 3 main companies that make internal RAM for computers. And recently, they have made a prioritization to only truly sell to these data centers. Now, as consumers, you can still buy them, but the cost has gone up at least 3-fold. A 32 gig RAM that used to be able to get in April for $90, $95 is now $350. What's going to happen when these things start going, and they start dumping e-waste? Do we not remember what happened at Tom's River with all the e-waste and the sludge? And then they had the highest cancer rates in the country for years. Listen, it might have been when I was a kid, but I already had cancer for 3 years. I'm not trying to go for round 2, and I certainly don't want anybody else in this room to have to go through it either. All right? And look, you've heard from everybody about all the typical stuff. Yeah, I live in the center of Millville. I'm not in Vineland, but I'm 2.5 miles from this place. I drive by it every single day. The fact it's happening at all, it's definitely an outrage. I can't believe that this town didn't even bother sending a letter out, or at least having a town vote. I can tell you right now, Millville probably has little to zero idea of what's really going on. And I'm going to leave you with this. If you can read, my shirt says, abuse of power comes as no surprise. We've seen a lot of that nationally. I moved up here to Cumberland County 3 years ago from Cape May County due to a house fire. I've loved living up here, more so than I did for the 13 years I spent in that county. I love living in Millville. It's starting to come up. We've got a lot of stuff on High Street. There's a huge revitalization plan. They want new businesses to come in. They want people to move there. Do you think that this is honestly going to bring that? But yeah, cool, you get a tax credit, you're going to get money to start a business. People see the effects that this is going to happen, they're not going to want to come. And they're probably not going to want to come here. They're probably not going to want to move back, as I've heard other people here talk about it tonight. So I'm just imploring you, please vote no on this. Not even tabling the loan. Just, you need to get rid of this one way or another, because I swear, if you guys end up betraying your constituents this way, the people that are outraged in here, just like the people that are outraged out there, they're probably going to fight back every way they can, tooth or nail, to make sure that this thing does not see the light of day.
Where you live, please?
Hi, my name is Francine Alfano. I'm a Vineland resident. I'm not a lifelong resident. I moved here 16 years ago. My husband and I chose to live here. We chose to live here because we came from condo living in Atlantic County, and we wanted green space and open space. We have sustainable hobbies, you might want to say. We're beekeepers. We do organic gardening. We love our backyard, and we love where we live. I live 1.8 miles, as the crow flies, to this data center. I am concerned regarding the tonal noises and the vibrations that are going to come from there. According to all the research I have done on AI data centers, they travel for more than 3 miles. I'm wondering what's going to happen to my bees. Bees are important. The reason my husband and I picked this hobby was not to make money, because as a beekeeper, you do not make money. You spend more money than you make, because you're keeping them alive and you're keeping them healthy. But they are here. We did this hobby because of all the farms in the area. Without bees, there's no food. And the other concern that we have is, like everybody else said, here's the water. It's going to take a lot of water, and if you go forward with this, we're worried about what's going to happen to the wastewater. The heated water that comes out of the data center. It's known to easily, and it's easily researchable, that heated water from factories, known as thermal pollution, creates major hazards by lowering dissolved oxygen, stressing and killing aquatic life, increasing disease and chemicals, causing algae blooms, and disrupting entire food webs. That's not a good thing. I mean, if you look at anybody that lives in this area, they'll tell you all about the oyster business. That was huge until factories moved in, and it caused a disease, and then it destroyed the oyster business. And we don't need anything else like that here. This is the poorest county. This is the highest illiteracy rate. I feel like you all took advantage of that, and you snuck this in under the guise of a golf course, which was supposed to be a great green space, and you just snooked us all. I don't have any other way to say it. I own a small business in this community. I am sustainable. I use post-consumer recyclables. The state is already talking about taking away plastic forks. They already took away straws and plastic bags. Why is it okay that you got to put this in and we didn't see anything? There was no, the state law requires that AI data centers and developers to report water and energy usage to the Board of Public Utilities. Can we see that report? Can you publish this stuff in a space where everybody can see it? Everybody here probably learned about tonight by Facebook. Why can't you put it up on Facebook? Vineland City has a page on Facebook, and so does the police department. We all see what goes on. The mayor makes announcements about when he's going to move Halloween. We all know when Halloween is going to be because the mayor puts it on Facebook. So if we can see that, why couldn't we see that this was happening? We all thought this was part of the golf course. Can you please not give them this loan, and please stop this project for the benefit of all of us?
Say your name, please, where you live.
Okay. Hello, I'm Heidi Ye, resident of Cherry Hill, and I'm the policy director of the Pinelands Alliance, which works to protect the natural and cultural resources of the Pinelands, and our work covers all of South Jersey. So I'm here to speak against this resolution to provide the loan for the cranes and against the Data One project overall. Pinelands Alliance, we're very concerned about the way in which the development has been conducted. First of all, using redevelopment provisions of the municipal land use law. We see this loophole being used all over South Jersey to change zoning without meaningful engagement with the community. And since it's been called redevelopment, this means that there was no need to identify residents within 200 feet of the project. So these tend to fly under the radar while the developer gets to write their own rules. Secondly, the lack of any environmental impact statement. We are outside of the Pinelands, but the water and air quality impacts don't care about lines drawn by politicians. We are particularly concerned with the water use that will have widespread impacts on the region. The developer has told you a half-truth. The facility will be air-cooled in the winter, but in the summer, the adiabatic coolers will need millions of gallons of water. And that's before considering the water that will be required for the power generation. This will increase strain on the Kirkwood-Cohansey aquifer, which is an unconfined aquifer that is estimated to hold 17 trillion gallons of water. Although that's a lot, only 4 inches of drawdown is all it takes to have devastating impact on the surrounding environment, according to studies conducted by the Pinelands Commission. So this project is not just a data center, it's a power plant, and absolutely requires an environmental impact statement. Plus, the plan seems to change substantially every 6 months, so how are you sure that any of these versions of the plan will not be harmful to your residents? So in closing, Pinelands Alliance will be writing to DEP and the Pinelands Commission to highlight this threat and ensure that they are enforcing protections for the Kirkwood-Cohansey aquifer and protecting Vineland residents if you won't. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Larry from Vineland, and I'm going to repeat something my teacher used to tell me is if you're passing notes, you should share it with the class. I'm going to derail things for a second as I'm going to talk about a separate loan that I haven't seen brought up yet that's up for vote today. But I'm going to first start off saying thank you to the city of Vineland for not editing a single word out of my previous time speaking, even though I used profane language. I appreciate that True North are practicing the First Amendment right, but their right does not get to trample on mine or anyone else's. If they choose to spout hateful rhetoric under the guise of Christian love, I am fully within my right to say so. It's so odd that you, an elected official, would choose to openly belittle my rights in support of theirs. I will reiterate, Jussie Eisenhart, the pastor of True North, has referred to the separation of church and state, quote, the enemy's tactic, end quote. And he spews anti-LGBTQIA plus a rhetoric that harms the people of our city. He's not in our city. I would ask the council how they feel about an Islamic leader wanting to add a mosque to Vineland, but preached extremisms like Shira's law and encouraged his followers to join the government. But doing my research, I found that just a mosque trying to be built in Vineland resulted in a $500,000 lawsuit against the city. I was also assured, Mr. Spinelli, that True North would not influence our government here in Vineland. Well, tell that to the newly elected Board of Education member who attends the church regularly. I was told we didn't let them into the city. That's the quote. Ordinance 2025-40 and resolution number 6697 say the exact opposite. From those documents, it is stated the property is located in a PC Plaza commercial redevelopment district where churches aren't permitted. End quote. The city had to literally change this to let them in. So not only does the church's pastor preach bigotry and Christian nationalism, not only are they in our city's government, not only did the city literally let them in, now we're expected to hand them a $100,000 loan when they made approximately $5 million last year. After I was told this place is private property and basically none of our business. This private property does not create jobs or pay property taxes while being a blight in our city. It was so disappointing to recently learn that the property was usually in talks to become a funplex or a skate park pre-COVID, especially given the impacts of Ed's bike shop that used to have on the city. For the data center, I don't even know where to start. This was basically agreed to in the shadows between people in the city council and people who donate to their campaign. Did the city council even contact every municipality in the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer region? This data center will affect 8 different counties in New Jersey. Did you run it by any of them? Our region is already in a drought, not to mention the stress that's already on the stressed out power grid this will add. How about at least looking out for the people and the environment with an environmental impact study? Nope. I have not even touched on the direct impact on the people of Vineland will have. Health problems like heart issues, asthma, COPD, and other lung problems are directly linked to the AI data centers. Like my mother previously stated, my sister already has a heart condition and asthma, so thank you for that. The 20-year tax abatement. Few permanent jobs are going to be created. There's not much revenue coming from this place. If you follow the money when it comes to AI market, no one believes this is going to last much longer. People are making as much money as they can before the bubble bursts. So what happens when that bubble does burst? Is there a plan for this place in the future if they abandon it? Is there a plan in place for this building at all? Will the damage done to the people and the environment be worth it? All the people that are left or will leave the area and the property value lost, will it be worth it? Are you not tired of selling out the city to wealthy companies and people who do not care for the betterment of the city? Does Mr. English positives truly outweigh all the negatives that are going to affect the people of this city? Is Mr. Ruga's money really worth it? Vote no on the $6 million loan. Do us some damn justice. They have already taken enough from us. Thank you.
Say your name, please, where you live.
Good evening, everybody. I am Alexander Carfagno. I am a resident of EHT High School. I go to EHT High School. And I am here today in opposition to the AI data center. I find it highly irresponsible that any government official at any level to be allowing data centers that aid with the advancement of AI, whose express purpose is to replace human labor to come into our cities and towns without any plan whatsoever about the workers that it will displace. As a student, I fear that when I enter my professional career, that I will have to compete with AI models that do not need a wage, do not sleep, and that do not complain. And even bigger fear that I have, that I think should be on the minds of every parent in this room, are the kids who are forced to take on 5 figures to even 6 figures of debt, leaving college and finding out that their industry has been taken over by AI and realizing that their 60 grand in debt was for nothing. So no, I do not think that subsidizing said AI models or giving loans for their advancement is right in any regard, when it has the possibility of destroying countless of new careers of college graduates or even workers in the middle of their career. It is one thing to replace jobs and to retrain the workers, but 3 years into this new phase of technology, there are no programs doing this or plans of assistance for these workers. And until then, council members, I highly advise voting no on any bill or legislation or motion that advances these AI data centers for the good of the current and new generations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Say your name, please, where you live.
Hi, my name is Matt Paulson. I'm now a resident of Bridgeton, New Jersey. Let's start from the beginning. My grandmother moved here about 70 years ago to Vineland. My mother was born and raised in Vineland. And now I, in 2003, was born in Newcomb Hospital here in Vineland and raised since. In 2019, I earned the rank of Eagle Scout here in Vineland out of Troop 1002. And the first time I ever sat in these chambers was as a young boy just trying to earn his citizenship and the community merit badge. Makes me sad to have to come here today to tell you folks that this is a terrible, terrible idea to bring in this AI data center. I got to ask myself, what are we doing? Where did I grow up? I'm pretty sure this sign, if I read it, Vineland, where it's always growing season. Last time I checked, I lived in New Jersey, the Garden State. So it seems a little counterintuitive to be bringing in an AI data center into our nice little town. So now I just got to ask you guys, quite frankly, why? What's the point of this? What is there that's really going to benefit us as residents of Vineland? You know, I got to say, like, we're not putting Vineland first. We're putting AI data centers first. We're putting big corporations first. We're putting Microsoft first. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense at all. So I'm here to ask you to explain it to us, whether it takes a town hall meeting or posting this to another date or really just saying no in general. Explain it to us. You got to earn our support before we can move forward with such things. To do it behind our back doesn't make any sense. I'm right here with everybody else. I only found out about this 2 weeks ago, and I said, well, I guess I'll show up to that meeting and see what it's all about. Well, I did a little research before, and I learned a whole lot even more tonight, and I can't say that I support this at all. So I'm just asking you guys, please, please say no to this AI data center, and if you want it to happen, get the people's support, because otherwise it's never going to go well. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Alyssa Massey, and I'm a resident of Vineland. I'm going to make this short and sweet. So currently there are 8 states that are largely affected by the data centers, okay? They are Virginia, Texas, Indiana, Oregon, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan, and Georgia. If you guys continue with this AI data plan, I guarantee you New Jersey will be on that list by the end of next year of 2026. So please listen to what everyone is saying and take care of us and take care of our city. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. State your name, please.
My name's Oriana, O-R-I-A-N-A. I'm a resident of Burlington County. I serve as the statewide director of organizing for the New Jersey Environmental Justice Alliance. For the last 20 plus years, our organization has served communities of color, low-income communities, and indigenous communities across the state in fighting back against environmental injustices that impact quality of life, primarily through air pollution and energy consumption. We were instrumental in getting the New Jersey Environmental Justice Law passed, the first of its kind in the nation, aimed at protecting communities like Vineland and counties like Cumberland. NJEJA stands with the residents of Vineland in their concerns about the development of the Data One data center. To be clear, data centers are the hidden infrastructure to our lives already, such as Google Drive, Google Photos, all of those things. However, hyperscale data centers, such as Data One, are not essential and only cause generational degradation to our environment and public health. Hyperscale data centers consume 3 to 7 million gallons of clean drinking water per day. Reminder that New Jersey is already in a drought for the second year in a row. These data centers also use diesel backup generators that can emit 200 to 600 times more nitrogen oxide per kilowatt hour than gas power plants. They also use at least 300 megawatts or more of power, which is enough to power at least 100,000 homes, and can raise electricity bills by $20 per month or more. And that's just for Jersey. That doesn't consider all of the other data centers that are being developed on the PJM grid, which is already under a lot of stress. This is all take and no benefit for the community, exploitation at its finest. And we call this environmental injustice. And we stand with the residents against this data center. We urge the City Council to listen to these concerns, take actions to protect this community, and also connect with us and our organization for resources to ensure that you can do a proper environmental impact statement should you decide to move forward with this. Because we are no garden state if we have no environmental justice. Lastly, I want to give a huge applause to the residents who have been doing amazing organizing, growing awareness about this project, ensuring that this room was packed tonight. This is 2 days before Christmas. in the middle of the holiday season when people should be at home with their families. So all power to the people. Thank you, and I hope you make the right decision.
Thank you very much. Rich?
City Council's asked for a 5-minute recess. Do we have a motion?
Yep.
Your motion?
Need a motion.
Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas? Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Council will be in recess for 5 minutes and we'll re-adjourn. Just be careful. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Just give them back to me at the end. When you're done. When we're done.
We're going to try to get back in order here. Please have a seat and quiet down.
You'll need to.
Need a motion to come back into session.
Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas? Yes. Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
7:21.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we'll continue with the public comment.
Please state your name, where you live. Ed.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Jameson Matlock. I am a resident of Vineland, and I am here to mainly speak about the AI data center, and just mainly about the City Council's decision to go forward with the construction of the AI data center. And personally, I don't like the lack of response that the City Council and the city itself has given, and I just don't like how you guys aren't being transparent with us, and I find it absolutely insane. I'm speaking from the heart here. I'm a student. I go to Vineland High School, and most teenagers I know right now would be laying in bed on their phone, scrolling through TikTok, doom scrolling, whatever. But then there are a few of us who are paying attention to our community and what's going on locally. And I'm just saying, most teenagers shouldn't be outraged by what their city is doing. And I don't even know what to say. I just think it's absolutely insane what the city council is doing. Like a few meetings ago, you called one of the speakers an asshole. You called a speaker an asshole, and you didn't even have the balls to say it to his face. You hid behind saying, "We don't banter with the public."
Now you're out of order. There's your warning. There was an apology made. We moved on. I gave him a personal apology. Whether he accepted it or not is up to him. I run the meeting. You don't. Thank you.
Ooh. Yeah, you got to listen to your
Continue.
constituents. Just saying. No disrespect, sir, but I believe.
Oh, that was disrespectful, so move on.
Listen, my generation is the next generation that'll be, in charge of things. So, personally, I think respect should be earned, mutual. I don't want to be talked to like I don't know what I'm talking about. I spoke with him before this, and I know you apologized, and I was going to say that until you said that you gave a public apology. My thing is that when he was asking you for a response, you said we don't banter with the public, even though beforehand, and like you did just now, you bantered.
Not banter. I corrected you and told you to move on.
That's
So let's
bantering.
go.
Oh, come on. Can you believe? That's bantering. Frankly. AI data.
Bob.
AI data.
He gets another warning. That's it. He goes.
He's a kid actually trying to speak up for his.
Now, please speak on what you want to speak about.
Okay. Thank you. I am 16 years old. And me, a bunch of the other students at Vineland High School, disapprove of the actions of the city council and the lack of response y'all are giving. And by majority, we are the majority, by the way. We the people are the majority. We the people, we elected you. I personally didn't. I can't vote, but people in this room probably did. Now, and the people in my class, in my high school, and I like to speak, I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but I can speak on behalf of the socialists and the leftists and the communists that go to my high school. We do not want to become adults and live in this city if it's polluted beyond recognition. We don't want to have to breathe in air that's polluted by the smog or whatever that's produced by the AI data center. And what are the benefits of the AI data center? Genuinely, I don't see any benefits to the community. Might be benefits to you guys, but we don't get those benefits. It's our community. Your job as city council is to represent and work for the people of this city. I don't see you representing the community at all. I don't see you representing anything these people want. And yes, you guys are older than me. You guys are wiser. You have more knowledge on, well, let's be respectful. You guys obviously know what you're doing. You're professionals. But I don't think that should diminish any of our opinions more than yours. And honestly, that's really all I have to say today. I'm just, do better.
Thank you. Say your name, please, where you live.
My name is Hannah Dietrich, Hannah Dietrich. My pronouns are they, them, and I live in Vineland. I grew up in Dennisville. I've lived in the Cohansey Aquifer my entire life. And both my parents were civil servants, and so I've sat in on many city council meetings, planning and zoning meetings, school board meetings, and I'm really excited to see so many community members engaged tonight.
Speak into the mic a little
Sure.
bit. Thank you.
I've really listened, and I've really learned from other people in our community and the surrounding areas this evening. I hope you've listened and learned as well. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection requires diversions of 100,000 gallons per day of a period of 30 days for over a 1-year period. Those water diversions, wells, right, have to complete a water allocation permit. Part of this process is they have to provide a map and a list of all of the other water diversions in a 5-mile radius. I live in that 5-mile radius. I imagine many people this evening live in that 5-mile radius. The DEP does not require that water allocation use permits have to notify within that 5-mile radius. But imagine if they did. Imagine if how many more people would show up this evening and in future evenings if they were fully informed of this issue. Like Matt, I also have heard that it's always growing season in Vineland. I ask you, what is growing? Is it the bank accounts of people who live far away and already have a lot of money and power? Is it the poor outcomes to our health, our society? The nearest middle school is within 2 miles. The nearest preschool within a half a mile. Personally, I plan to grow my dissent in this issue. I hope that you really think about this and extend whatever needs to get extended, because too many people have shared their concerns with you to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Say your name, please, where you live.
My name is Monica Higgins. I live in the city of Vineland. I'm here tonight to speak as one of the residents of Vineland who lives beyond the reach of the municipal water supply. I bought my first house in Vineland. My neighborhood was built back in the 1950s with shallow wells, and while many have drilled new wells with submersible pumps, many of us have shallow well jet pumps on wells varying from 30 to 100 feet deep. Because the pump is pulling the water to the surface as opposed to pushing it from below the surface, these pumps are limited to a suction head of about 25 feet. Once the water level in the well drops below this, the pump can no longer draw water. Since a submersible pump cannot fit down into the narrow well, the only solution is to drill a new well. Once you drill a new well, the health department requires that you install a treatment system to bring that water up to current New Jersey drinking water standards, which adds additional costs. With more intense droughts in recent years, we are at a greater risk of our wells failing. Excessive water use will only further decrease the water level. Therefore, not only do I want an answer to the question of how many gallons of water this data center will use in a day, I want to know how this usage will affect the water supply of the residents of the city of Vineland, including those on shallow wells. How many residents will need to spend thousands of dollars drilling new wells? Will Vineland provide Data One with tax abatement while the citizens of Vineland must pay for the effects of Data One's water usage? Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, please, where you live.
Good evening, council people. My name is Annalisa Franceschini. I'm from the New Italy borough, East Vineland. First, I'd like to just talk to my people real quick. I am very proud of all of you. I am proud to be a part of this community, and I hope you continue to show up. These are the people that I'm so proud of y'all. Anyway, y'all have heard a lot tonight. Many people have spoken about their personal experiences, about what they're scared in the future. Many have brought up that in past meetings you guys have had no answers. And I know that this was passed through the planning board, and that many of you are saying, look, this was out of our hands. This was not something that we knew about. But the planning board needs to be held accountable for not doing their research. And who appoints the planning board? That is Mayor Finucci. And he's not required to be here tonight. Does anyone see him in this room? Where is the mayor? He is the one responsible for this, and I ask him to come forward, answer our questions. And if we're going to continue, then he needs to be completely transparent. This whole administration, I believe you can do it. I believe that you have good hearts, and that maybe you just didn't understand what was going on in the first place. Many of us were confused. I just need you to step up now. I need you to hold him accountable. And I need you to be here for these people like they're being here for themselves. All right?
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Say your name, please, where you live.
My name is Haley Purich. I'm a longtime Vineland resident. Here also to talk about the data center. So I'm going to start with something that is a bit of a minor qualm in the grand scheme of things, but a point of irony and annoyance, and I think indicative of how we tend to do things in this town. So to start, a question. Why do we have a Vineland police patrol car consistently parked outside of the property where the data center is being built? Are taxpayers footing the bill for our officers to act as private security for a major corporation that can surely afford its own? It seems to me an awfully blatant admission that this city would rather use its law enforcement not to protect and serve the interests of its public, but rather the interests of capital, the interests of the wealthy individuals and entities that see an opportunity in a place like Vineland not because they want to help our community flourish and thrive, but because we are just another economically depressed town with resources and land to rapidly consume for a quick profit. Like a previous speaker said, they think that we're too stupid and too busy to know what's happening until it's too late. What they likely do know is that our elected officials are in way over their heads. I'm here to say that it is okay to admit when you are in over your head. It is okay to admit that you fell victim to the simplistic logic that any business is good business. I'm also here to advise that unless you can say with absolute confidence that this project will not adversely affect the health and well-being of your constituency, you should take the time to do your due diligence. Get a comprehensive environmental report. Let's understand the gravity of the inevitable health consequences like asthma, respiratory illnesses, birth defects, and the like. Let's create policies for greater transparency with the public and with the press. Having to sign an NDA to get any information from this company should be a non-starter. Let's set clear restrictions from the jump on emissions and diminishing water quality, ensure that there will be repercussions for environmental damage, and that when that happens, we will not be footing the bill for environmental recovery efforts. More than simply playing defense and responding to our concerns, if you're going to allow this project to continue, let's hear some positives. The last council meeting ended with Councilman English making a comment at the end of the meeting 2 weeks ago that while constituents had presented an abundance of concerns regarding the health and safety of our community, no one had mentioned any of the positives that might be associated with this kind of an industrial facility in the middle of our neighborhoods and farm country. 2 weeks ago, the room erupted in response, asking what those benefits might be. 2 weeks of pondering later, and I'm still at a loss for a single example of why anyone in this town would be in favor of this data center, unless they stood to personally and financially benefit from it at the expense of their community. Given that the council has had 2 weeks to think about this question, I would be interested to know, at some point perhaps later in the meeting, what benefits you were able to come up with. I read through the little packet provided downstairs. In my opinion, it was a whole lot of nothing. And if you think that this is going to pacify the questions and concerns of your constituency, frankly, I think that that is ridiculous. So to conclude, I really sincerely advise and ask that you are going to take sufficient time to do your due diligence and have all of these questions answered before you come to a hopefully educated decision. And I also think it would be a brilliant idea, given the clear concern of the public, to do a town hall and answer our questions. Maybe in a room where we can get everyone who's interested in speaking and asking questions, and we don't have people locked out outside as well. Thank you.
State your name and where you live, hon.
Hello, my name is Imogen Ottinger, and I live in Millville by Union Lake. And I just have one question for you. Who are you doing this for? Because I know it's not the people of Vineland who are sitting behind me. I want to grow up with fresh water and air. I want to be able to step outside and not gag on the gas polluting our air. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, will be caused by the multi-million data center that our favorite billionaires, aka Elon Musk, Jeffrey Bezos, Donald Trump, and so on, strangely don't disagree with. Who is this going to be affecting? The billionaires who will only gain more, or the people of Vineland who will actually suffer? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. State your name, please, where you live.
My name is Agape Fisher, and I've lived in Vineland for all 16 years of my life. And just like my fellow people, I share the various concerns of what this data center will bring. But these issues and concerns have been covered thoroughly by others who have spoken this evening, so I'm here to share a message that I truly hope will get through to you, since evidently not much has. The land of this city has been the background of my life. Its forests have grown alongside me, and its trees have been the ribs of my childhood. When you make any choice or any action in support of this poisonous project, the blood of our earth is undeniably on your hands. Your hands that you use to hold the hands of your children or your grandchildren as you walk forward with them, leading them to a future that you've worked in dooming. These promises of benefits are shrouded in lies and misinformation, and you need to do better for your people and for your children and for the earth that has stood loyal beneath your feet for your entire life. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Name, please, where you live.
Hi there, my name's Martin. I didn't plan on speaking today. I'm actually a resident in Millville, where I've lived for most of my life.
Thank you.
But I feel compelled to speak based off of turnout today about an observation I've made about the AI product that this centers for ostensibly. Over the years, we've been told about all it has to offer in our personal lives and all the jobs it can replace. But I've noticed a pattern that they say they can replace architects, doctors, teachers, mayors, and council members such as yourselves. But I've never heard anyone say that it can replace the job of a financial administrator. These are companies that are decades old and are worth tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, and they spend billions of dollars every year working their financials, hiring other people to do it. So why don't they trust their AI to do it? Well, I'll get to the point. A few years ago, Amazon had their own AI to streamline the hiring process of managers. And immediately they found it would flatly refuse to hire any women whatsoever, which is reflective of Amazon's history of refusal to hire women to managerial positions. There are multiple class action lawsuits about that. That was it learned from the company. So why can't these companies, this company who's building a data center and their patrons, Facebook, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, why don't these companies have their own AI, work their own financials? Because they're committing fraud. They're committing financial fraud. And they know that if they have their own AI learn from them and try to replicate it, they'll get caught. They can't have their, I'm sorry, I'm not a very good public speaker, but no matter how bad this deal looks now, people have been talking about this tax abatement, and people have been talking about how bad it seems like it's going to be for the local workers and everybody else who's all these promises of hiring jobs. And however bad it looks, it's going to be worse. These are companies that know that they're selling a sham. And these are companies that know that they're going to cheat everybody that they work with. And the proof is the fact that they don't promise this AI can do anything involving money. I don't have anything else to say. I just like to thank everybody for coming out and wish everybody get home safely. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, please, and where you live.
Stephen Bork, Vineland residents. I can hardly add to all the statements that have been made about the resources, the environment, and the transparency. Many articulate concerns about that, and I agree with it. But one thing I'd like to add is that I think it's a very, very poor business decision to make a $6 million loan on two, what I assume are temporary cranes. You have a very high inflationary economy right now. You're making a 6% loan on two assets that are probably going to be worth half their value as soon as they're on the job site. The other thing, the other financial concern is the abatements. If it's truly a new, strong industry, and this is a viable company, they shouldn't need tax abatements. And in general, I think the planners that think they have to offer these companies tax abatements, I think it just leads a race to the bottom. And that being said, I appreciate your work, and I appreciate all the comments from all my other residents.
Thank you, sir. Please, where you live?
Good evening. My name is Nicole Alvarez. I live in Vineland. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I just have a very quick statement to make. I was here 4 weeks ago, and there were approximately 12 statements made by residents. I was here 2 weeks ago. There were approximately 17 statements. And tonight, I'm the 36th speaker, and there's a few more people that will be speaking as well. Where are your statements to us? We've done countless hours of research, making phone calls, doing Oprah requests. If your statement to us is this article, how long did it take you to get this article? A Google search and then a click to print? It's kind of a slap in the face when we're doing all of this work to get answers and you print out a simple article off of the internet. 2 weeks ago, I also made a statement discussing the environmental impact statement that should have been provided per the city code. What's your response to that? I know that you don't banter with the public, but we need some kind of some sort of response, some way to get two-way communication so we can get answers to the hundreds of questions that we've asked. So please do your homework like we're doing our homework, and please provide the answers to us. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, please, where you live.
Good evening. Excuse me. My name is Russell Baruffi, senior. I've been in Vineland all my life. I think I know some of you personally. Excuse me, let me get this adjusted. Just curious, I've just got a question. I think probably at the end of the night tonight, you guys are probably all going to vote yes for this loan to go through. Sad, but that's probably what's going to happen, you know. Yeah. Expected. And it's sad. It's sad because not that the interest money or whatever might be your excuses or whatever, but the point that I would make is that you see what's going on around us. And in order to stop this, if we can stop it, and my conversations, my phone calls just now, and my conversations with other people that were here that are substantial, say that there needs to be an injunction. And there needs to be a turn of the tide, because the tide right now is flowing very strong in that direction. And I know all you people probably feel in your hearts that it's the wrong thing to do. And you must. There's been enough. There's been enough weight by the people tonight and enough information to make that true. So I would ask you to vote no. I would tell you that, in my opinion, I just learned, just like so many other people, the magnitude, especially the 37-acre expansion. If you approve this loan tonight, it's a signal to the powers that be. And they don't get wrong. Don't get me wrong. They are the powers that be. It's a signal to them that it's okay. Continue going. And everybody here will know that you say it's okay if you vote yes, no matter what your reasons are. The reasons are that this is wrong. It's just the wrong thing to do for everything. Now, if you do that and we can get the DEP involved for an environmental impact study, we might be able to hold this up. And I say we because I'm totally against this, okay? And I don't care who sees this on YouTube or whatever, okay? This doesn't make any sense for Vineland or for South Jersey in general. So it starts right here, right now, with you guys saying no to a loan. So my question to you guys, to you people, I'm sorry, okay? What do you want to do? You want to say yes and keep the momentum going, even though you see all that's going on here? Or do you want to say no, and that's going to start something going in the other direction? But it's on you right now. It's on you. So I appreciate you guys. I think you're doing a fantastic job. I think you guys are the right people to be up there. But if you are the right people, then you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name, please, where you live.
My name is Patrick McGrory. I've been a Vineland resident for the past 20 years. The passion and words tonight have been impressive to listen to, but I'm here to represent the other less vocal majority who are in support of the project. Vineland is more than a place on a map. It is an idea. And when Charles K. Landis founded Vineland in 1861, he didn't just lay out streets and parcels of land. He laid out a vision. He believed that a city, if planned with care and foresight, could give people opportunity, dignity, and a better future. He believed that progress, when guided responsibly, strengthens a community rather than threatens it. That belief built Vineland. For over 160 years, generations of residents worked the soil, built factories, ran small businesses, and raised families here. Each generation faced change, and each chose to move forward rather than fall behind. That willingness to adapt is not a break from our history, it is our history. Today we're being asked to make another decision that will shape Vineland's future. Data centers are not abstract or distant. They power the systems we rely on every single day. Emergency services, hospitals, schools, local businesses, and government operations. The modern world does not function without them. The question before us is not whether data centers will exist, but whether Vineland will choose to continue to be part of that future. This project...
Excuse me, Pat.
Yep.
Let the man speak. He's entitled to an opinion just like you were.
This project, the loan request we are discussing, represents more than equipment. It represents a long-term investment in our city. Millions of dollars that strengthen our tax base without overwhelming our roads, our schools, and our neighborhoods. It represents stable revenue that can help fund essential services and reduce pressure on residents. It represents skilled jobs and opportunities for local workers and contractors. Are there questions that should be answered? Yes. We have heard very valid concerns tonight that in time should be answered. But this is in contrast to people who present false facts and unattributed quotes. Vineland was founded as a planned community. Data centers, when properly regulated and thoughtfully sited, reflect the same principle: quiet, clean facilities designed for long-term use, not short-term gain. This is not reckless development. This is deliberate, structured progress. Charles Landis believed that a successful city does not cling to the past. It honors it by preparing for the future. He welcomed innovation because he understood that standing still is the fastest way to fall behind. Council members, you are stewards of his legacy. Supporting this data center is not abandoning Vineland's legacy. It is affirming it. It is saying that our city still believes in planning, opportunity, and thoughtful investment. It is saying that Vineland is ready, not just for today, but for the next generation. I'll end with a quote. It's The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never knew victory nor defeat. I respectfully ask for your support of this project and loan to continue the tradition of leadership that has defined Vineland since its founding. Thank you for your time.
Have order. Have order, please. Hold on a second, please. Can we have order, please? Please remove him.
Because he doesn't believe what you believe.
No, he's out of order. Remove her too, please.
What did she do?
Excuse me. Just wait a second. Go ahead, sir. State
Before
your
I
name,
start,
please.
is Justin Roig. I live in Philadelphia. I am from Vineland, New Jersey. Mr. Vineland, 2022, I love this city, et cetera, et cetera. First thing I'm going to condemn is that you just removed Mr. Larry Garrity and his mother. His mother didn't do nothing, so that's the first thing I'm going to condemn. The second thing I'm going to condemn is, or rather criticize, is that Vineland doesn't cling to the past. This was the first city in New Jersey to have a historic society, which I'm a proud member of. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. What I'm here to talk about today is sacrificing the future of this city, like I have discussed before. Now, all it takes is 3 votes to prevent this loan from going through. Dr. Elizabeth Arthur, did I say 3? Sorry. Mr. Cruz Gomez, Mr. Albert Vargas. I'm speaking to you 3 in particular because despite my criticisms of you guys, I have something in common with the 3 of you. We're children of displacement. Particularly Cruz and Albert, we have a shared similar experience of coming from Puerto Rico and being displaced from our homeland because of poverty, because of forced displacement, because of what have you. Dr. Arthur, I understand that you moved to the Ithaca area from Wilmington, North Carolina when you were younger and have an experience of leaving somewhere as well. Vineland historically is a city of displaced people, of displaced communities. Mr. Spinelli, I understand you're an Italian. The Italians were displaced here because of poverty in their home country. So, recognizing the context that this is a city of displaced people, why are we going to vote to aid something that could risk displacing more of our residents? Now, a few weeks ago I said, is your loyalty to Team Finucci, to the good old boys of Vineland, or is it to the people who elected you? Is it to the people who elected you, the people of this city? Is it to the young people of this city? Mr. Vargas, I remember you saying you ran in the marathon in Guamo. I'm from Guamo too. Cruz, your cousin Orlando's been a friend of my dad for many years. I understand that despite my criticisms of you guys and my lack in faith in you as politicians, I hope I can put a little bit of faith into your humanity as people. Please recognize that the people of this city have never come out for an issue like this before in my lifetime. And I am so proud of them. And if you want to be part of the future of where this city goes, break ranks and vote no on this loan, please. Because we want to have people like me that had to leave this city that we love to go to college, to go to wherever, and we want a home to come back to, like I said. This is not how you encourage us to come back, okay? We want to have the same opportunities our parents and grandparents had coming here, making a life for themselves and having a future here. And at the end of the day, whether we decide to leave, whether we decide to go, we want it to be our choice, not because of a project like this that is going to potentially kick people out of their homes. This project is down the road from my old elementary school, Dr. William Menny's. This is personal to me. I don't want kids going there. I played in those schoolyards and had fresh air to breathe, minus the manure from the fields. But, you know, we got to see agriculture right next to it, though, because they have water to water the crops in the fields. We had clean air when we ran through them schoolyards. I want the same kids at Dr. William Menny's now to have the same opportunity that I did. I want the kids of this city to have the same opportunities that I did, because I'm going to be honest, they weren't a lot. Cumberland's been the poorest county since I was a kid, since my mom was in school, since my dad was in school. We got to change that, and this is not how you change that. By opening the door for whatever fat cat millionaire wants to build something here. Like I said, where is the environmental impact study? And where is the economic impact analysis? Like I have pointed out many times, keep looking off to the side, Spinelli. Like I pointed out many times, these data centers, a lot of them are remotely operated. Have you been told that how many of the city's residents are going to be employed? If they do employ a few people, are they going to live in Vineland, or are they going to live in Morristown and Cherry Hill, where they take that tax base somewhere else? There's a lot of serious questions that need to be answered, and they have not been answered. If I have one thing that I can urge y'all to do, break ranks. You don't have to listen to what he tells you, or what the mayor tells you. You are your own people. I said you guys operate in contempt of the city, and I still think that's true. But you can prove me wrong. The 3 of you, vote your conscience. Vote your conscience if you have it. Prove to us that you are still loyal to the people. And maybe you'll still have a future in that chair. Because we will replace you otherwise. Be your own people. You want to tell your kids that when you go home, be a leader, not a follower. Be your own leader. Be your own leader. Prove me and the people of this city wrong and show that maybe you actually do care, maybe even a little bit about us. I see you advocating for VHA tenants. I see some of the work that some of y'all do. Take that same spirit and put it here, because we support those issues too. So if you want to show the people that you care, vote no. Thank you very much. I recognize my time is up.
Thank you. Please state your name, where you live.
Hi, my name is Russell Barufi Jr. I live in Seattle, Washington. I grew up in Vineland, New Jersey, and my parents live within a mile of the site. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I'm a land developer. I work primarily on solar and battery projects out west, so I'm deeply familiar with the process of tax abatements, conditional use permits, and I'm a land developer. I develop solar and battery projects out west, so I'm deeply familiar with the process of tax abatements, conditional use permits, environmental impact studies, and everything else. I also happen to have worked for Amazon's infrastructure group for a good 5 years, and so I'm also deeply familiar with the process by which Amazon chooses sites and finds communities to invest in. And invest in, I think, is a funny term because I understand the way that they go about choosing communities and what they look for. And I think I'm primarily responding to the sort of inside view that Patrick McGrory brought earlier, and that is to say, I know that these tech companies look for vulnerable communities. I know that these tech companies look for places with minimal air and water regulation. I know that they pump up the view of how many construction jobs you're going to get, how many long-term jobs you're going to get, and that those things don't necessarily materialize, and that they, as you know, have no commitment to have them materialize. I also know that they look for, and I say this with all respect to you, stupid, malleable, and gullible public officials. And I don't mean that that's who you are. I mean that that's who you could be or could choose not to be. But Patrick McGrory and his whole team is laughing at you if you believe that a 6% interest loan on this many millions of dollars is good for Vineland. If you believe that trading off this permission, this absence of analysis or community input for whatever he's telling you that he's going to give you is a good deal, I'm telling you that it's a lie because I've seen it from the inside. And I'm not... And I've seen both sides of this. I've seen the process of projects going through approvals, and I've seen the negotiations behind the scenes with communities for both energy projects and data centers. And I'm telling you to please represent us as smart and capable public officials interested in asking very hard questions about long-term future for this community rather than the immediate shine of whatever nonsense poetry that he gave you, whatever nonsense about innovation and whatever fiction about inevitability that he's telling you that Vineland needs to be a part of this. It is a scam. So I think you have a choice today to be. You can be the gullible and stupid public official that Patrick believes that you are, or you can take all. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying, believe me when I tell you that this is the story they're telling you is a lot more clear if you look at an environmental impact statement, if you look at air and water quality impacts, and you look at long-term health impacts of these things. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, where you live?
I'm Kim Connor. I live in Vineland. I've been a Vineland resident for most of my life. I left for a while and I came back. I love it here. I don't want to leave. But I'll tell you something. For the last couple of weeks, I have been up at night wondering, what is that noise? And I won't bore you with all the details of what appliance I ran to see if it was broken. But my boyfriend thought I was going nuts because I was hearing something. I knew I was hearing it. Well, I'm on Facebook and I find out what I'm hearing is this thing I didn't even know existed. I don't think it's right. I'm tired. I'm sick right now. But don't worry, you can't catch it from me because it's asthma. I don't want to be breathing crap. Remember a couple of years ago we had the wildfires? in Quebec and all that smoke came down, I had to stay in my house because I could not breathe without, unless I was in the house. Oddly, I went to Quebec shortly after that. There was no smoke up there. But I'm telling you, I have a home in Vineland. I have a home in Wall Township, New Jersey, okay? My boyfriend's been saying, why do we have 2 homes? I don't know, because I love it here and he doesn't want to move here, does he? Well, since 1999, I've had this fantasy of putting on a very expensive sunroom onto my house. That'll increase my property taxes if I do that. It's part of why I don't want to do it. But when it comes down to it, why am I going to invest in my home when I have to listen to that noise? And I believe that property values in the area will fall because of this noise, because of every concern that's been stated here tonight. You want to have a little small 6%. I don't remember the numbers because, like I said, I don't feel very good. I dragged myself to come here tonight in spite of how bad I feel. But property taxes, that's something that goes every single year, year after year after year. What about when this data center is no longer bringing in money? So I have so many other things I would like to say, but other people have things to say, and I don't think I'm making a whole lot of sense past this one because everybody here has had very good arguments. But please don't make me move up with my boyfriend in Wall Township.
Please state your name, where you live, ma'am.
Karen Iverson, I live in Vineland. I've been basically a lifelong resident. My family moved us here from Millville when I was 5.5 years old. And I remember the smog in Vineland when I was a kid. And I'd walk home from school down Landis Avenue, saw the beautiful big trees, and they were so beautiful in the fall. And I would kick those leaves as I walked down the street. Well, the Vineland's kind of turned into a heat island with all the trees that have been chopped down. And I urge my residents to plant some trees. But this data center, I just found out about this on Thursday. And I've been a lifelong resident, basically. And I don't want my city to turn into smog again. And Patrick McCrory, with all due respect, Charles Landis, I think, is probably flipping over in his grave because he wanted. He wanted the streets of Vineland to be lined with trees. And that is why we have so many trees lining the streets of Vineland until we start cutting them all down. So I'm asking you to please vote no on this. Do the environmental impacts. I told my husband, I can't even think in my mind what 6,700,000 square feet is. How much is that? So he did some investigating for me. That's almost 60 acres of land. And 60 acres of land with a building on it, where's all the water going to go? Maybe they can, I mean, that's 4 Lincoln Financial fields worth of land that we're giving to billionaires. I don't think that's right. And I'm sorry that the golf course got canceled. So please vote no, and please think about the environmental impacts that this is going to do to our environment. Thank you for your service.
State your name, please, where you live.
Hey, everybody. My name is Eric Rodriguez, lifelong Vineland resident. I've been a civil servant my whole career. Went down to Stockton for school. Unlike most of my classmates from the class of '07, a lot of Vineland's children always decide, oh, I'm getting out of here. I was one of the few and constantly criticized for coming back, staying in Vineland. There's been a lot of people asking a lot of questions, not too many clear answers. Now, this city is the largest city in land. We have one of the most diverse populations in the area. Charles Landis himself founded this city on diversity. Our greatest resource and strength is everybody here, because how diverse from where everybody comes, every background, every religion, everybody in this city is what makes it great. And you have a large population that's full of strength and resources telling you what they feel and what they're seeing happening. Do not neglect to serve the public, because everybody's here. This is just one big snowball, because I only found out about this recently. So more and more people are going to be asking questions. You know, Vineland, we get a lot of criticism from other cities, other states, but we are the largest city. We are one of the diverse. I can't stress it enough. Our citizens are our greatest resources, and everybody's speaking up about this. Do not neglect us. Do not push forward with this. There is no long-term, clear end goal. As many people have brought up, what's going to happen if it doesn't work? You know, this was brought on under the belief that, oh, there's going to be a golf course. Now we found out it's not going to be a golf course. It's going to be this data center. Then it's going to turn into a large data mine. The resources of this city cannot keep up with the expected growth of what they're calling for. I mean, what's going to happen? Are all my classmates that decided they're not going to give Vineland a chance, that they were just going to leave, move to another city? Is this going to justify them leaving? Is this going to encourage people not to come back? You have to think of the future, because everything you do will go down in history. People will look back at this moment and see what your choices caused in the long run, because this is going to be generational. Thank you.
Thank you. Say your name, please, where you live.
Nicole Gardner. I live here in Vineland. First, I want to say that back in 2019, the city tried to privatize the Vineland Public Library, and the community showed up for that in support of the library to fight against that. I came to multiple city council meetings to speak out against that. It was a great show of community support, but I do remember one specific meeting where the community started to dwindle off. There were two gentlemen that sat in the back of the room, and they said to me that this has been great over the past few months that the community has actually come out to support, but we need to continue to do that. Evidently, these two gentlemen tended to be the only people in the room holding you accountable, and they couldn't do that for the whole city. So I would like to encourage everyone that's here tonight to continue to come out, join a group of friends, make a night of it, hold them accountable. We are partially to blame for not paying attention to what they're doing right underneath our noses. Additionally, there's been a common thread through all the comments tonight. What financial incentive does this project offer? The answer is none to the community. So that makes some of us feel that maybe it's personal incentive for the leaders of our city. For anyone that doesn't follow stocks or the stock market, the company behind this project, Nebius, has been having a recent stock rally. Rally, for anyone, again, who doesn't follow the stock market, means money for investors. I personally had already wondered if any of our community leaders own stock in Nebius. But when the only person in the room full of over 200 people that is in support of this project just so happens to also be an investment advisor who could potentially profit personally too from this project. I don't know what Patrick invests in or what he advises on, or I don't know what any of our city leaders in this room, I don't know that you could benefit personally from this project. But it really makes you wonder, after 2 hours of hearing all the wrong, what is the incentive here? Thank you.
Thank you. Where you live, ma'am?
Good evening, Angeline Broomhall Millville.
I want to start off by thanking you for really, I've attended almost every single Millville City Commission meeting for 10 years. So I've very rarely ever see something like this unless somebody gets killed. So I appreciate and I understand the effort that you make. I am currently a zoning board member. I'm not speaking on behalf of my zoning board, but I am saying that as a reference to my experience and knowledge. And again, to give you credit for sitting here taking the time to listen to everyone. You had mentioned at the last meeting about following the agenda. I, as a Millville resident, follow our agenda very closely. However, I admit I don't follow yours, but the decisions you're making impact me. One, because of where I live, but not only because of that. Millville tends to constantly say, but look at Vineland, but look at Vineland, look what Vineland has. And I promise you, they're going to follow in your footsteps. I know what's going to happen in Millville once it's already starting. We are so desperate in Millville for development. We do the craziest things, and you know this because you guys talk to them all the time. You guys see the idiot things we do. This is the craziest. But I didn't always believe that. I used to believe data centers would be the answer for Millville. I didn't realize, and I didn't know that they took up all this water and energy. I thought, wow, this would be great. Put a building there, have data, have money, it would bring in employment, and then there would be landscapers to pay for cut the grass for the wealthy people that are going to be working there. I really had this image in my mind of what it would be like, and I'm going to assume that you guys do too. And I understand that in part it's too late. The loan, I'm not sure that that's approved by UEZ for the state. That doesn't really follow with the guidelines that the state requires for UEZ money. So I do question your motives on that. And again, we follow a lot of what you do. So, and because we're partners with UEZ, Vineland Millville are our partners, I'm concerned and I'm watching that closely as well. I wonder how many people know that Millville and I'm sure some of the county representatives know, had to provide backup water for the hospital 2 summers ago. I'm sure you know. Because 2 summers ago, there was not enough water and they were facing drought. They had to cancel surgeries unless it was, any non-essential services. And I'm sure you guys know this because of lack of water. And we had to have water trucks on hand for our hospital that our entire county depends on. That's a serious concern, and maybe you didn't know that these data centers use up that water. So even if you vote no tonight on the UEZ loan, I'm going to keep coming back. Not to fight, but because what your decisions you're making on this issue, it does affect me, and I ask everybody who's listening to me now to also please, I'll post if I see something in Millville, please back me up too if I have to fight there. So I won't give up, and I'm not going away. So even if you do vote tonight, which I would assume that you would, I would think you would be crazy not to, but that's just a small part of this big picture. You need to use your power to stop this and then stop the bigger ones ahead of you, the county, the state. They're coming, and they're going to fight you and tell you have to. You have to start getting your armor and get ready to fight for us, please. Thank you so much for listening to me.
State your name, please, where you live.
Hi, my name is Marla Jimenez, and I live in Millville currently, but I grew up and lived most of my life in Vineland. I also work here, and I have a lot of ties to the community. And I'm a little sad because I really wish I had had time to prepare, because when I speak, I like to make sure that the things I'm speaking are facts and not opinions or emotions. But I didn't have time because I just found out that this is happening, just like a lot of the other citizens that are standing behind me and that have left today, right? I didn't have time, and now I'm disappointed because I can't present you with a lot of facts. Now I have to go based on anecdotal evidence, and I'm kind of sad about that. I, like everybody else, with one exception, that one person, and I'm imploring you, all of you, to vote no. Please. I work with children. My hands are shaking right now. My voice is shaking, but I will not be quiet, because right now, the kids that I work with are facing, I can't even say the word or I might get, okay. They are facing terror right now in their communities. I work with Bridgeton students particularly. I have had to look these kids in the eye and tell them that their local police office, like their local police departments can't help them a lot in the situations that are going on. I'm sure you're no strangers to what's going on in Bridgeton right now in terms of immigration. And now I have to tell these kids that their future is also in danger. Not only are their parents in danger now, not only are people getting picked up off of the streets, now you gotta tell me, even if I manage to find a way to keep this kid's hope alive, I gotta tell them, by the way, now we gotta fight for an AI data center that's gonna pollute our water, pollute our air, pollute our sound quality, and God knows what else, because I don't have the facts with me, okay? I need you to look at these kids. I look at these kids every day. These kids trust me. I cannot, in good conscience, look these kids in the eyes and tell them that their water's gonna be polluted, that their parents might get sick. Some of these kids are living the worst conditions I have ever heard of, and they don't tell people because they don't want to be separated. This county is poor. It's brown, it's black, it's white, but we're poor, right? And I think that's why they choose us, right? Because they say, hey, they're poor, they're uneducated, they're stupid, we can play with this. They got the land, they got the water. Who the hell's gonna fight us? I am. I'm gonna fight you. Because they cannot, I'm so sick of watching these behemoth companies come in and take whatever they want, whenever they want, with zero accountability for what they've done. They get to walk away and move across to God knows where else in the world because they have the means, but we are stuck here because we don't have the money to leave. I have so much more to say, but I don't have the time, so I'm going to tell you this. I don't know the whole thing, but I think you're going to catch my drift. When the last tree is cut down and the last fish has been fished, you will realize you cannot eat money, okay?
Please state your name, where you live, ma'am.
Caitlin Rooney, resident of Vineland. Thank you for your time. I just want to say that first of all. The facts on the data center have been presented already. I'll just like to speak humbly from the perspective of a mother raising two daughters in beautiful, scenic East Vineland. The center's not right at my back door, so I could choose not to care so much, but I do, as I hope all you do, even if you do not live at the borders of the data center. There are effects to every cause, and we have seen these effects over the past 100 years due to progress in ways. And in some ways, we have learned from our mistakes, but at times the damage is done at a detriment to ourselves and our community. And no amount of money can fix the effects of this progress, whether these effects be on our population's health, our resources, the ecosystem, and future generations. So just to speak as a mother that cares about my children, and I care about all your children, everyone's in this room, and I care about the health of everyone, I will speak from what my eyes have seen. This took no research. This took no intensive dive into environmental reports. I have a house with a well water that relies on a water table. My house is surrounded by wetlands. Since living in this house from 2010, I have seen my property that is classified as wetlands that has a flood zone adjacent to my property become drier and drier over the years. My property is changing. A pond in the adjacent lot is now a mere puddle of what it once was when I bought the house. I took my daughters back there. They used to sit and watch the geese. It has dried up to be just like a swampish puddle. I have a natural spring that feeds a large pond in front of my house. 3 summers ago, this pond receded from the drought. We had a very bad drought. I think it was about 3 years ago. This pond receded roughly 6 feet around from the perimeter of where the water typically lies. I have never seen that happen since living on this property. I used to drive by this property before we purchased it. The pond was always brim high. My land used to flood, actually. It's wetlands. It used to carry water in the sides, in the back, because it's wetlands. It doesn't do that anymore, and it hasn't done that in years. The water line has never fully recovered to what it once was in my pond. We know our climate has changing, and there are effects to everything. I cannot afford to drill a new well at the drop of a dime. My house is my investment. It's the only thing I have. We are all affected by the cost of life right now, and most people are just trying to survive. So being aware of what is going on behind stone walls is hard when residents of the community are just trying to deal with life and the hardships of the current economy. I'm a nurse that primarily is in Atlantic County, so another poor county. I deal with people at very low incomes, and I see the effects and the struggles. And just as Cumberland County, your eyes aren't always open because you're just trying to feed your kids or get through the day or work 2 jobs, whatever it may be. Water is life. It should be revered as precious, as should the air we breathe. The truth is we do not know the effects of air pollution and strain on our valuable water. I implore you to fight for the environmental study. As I stated earlier, time has shown the effects of progress without proper evaluation, research, and regulations put in place. At the end of it all, what matters in life is our choices we make that affect others. And to have that power to make choices for the better of others is a virtuous privilege, and it's meaningful and powerful. This choice resides in your virtue, and I hope that the ripple effect will benefit your community you represent.
Thank you. Where you live, sir?
Steve Lewis, Vineland, New Jersey. As you know, I come to these things and I listen to everybody. I get an education. I know things that I never knew until I came here tonight. And you're to be amended for doing your homework. Really.
Speak into the mic, please.
I said you should be amended. You should be happy that you came here today and you did your homework to talk to this council. So that I give these people credit for. Now, I have a suggestion that's probably too late, but I'm going to make it anyway. There was mention of a couple states that had problem with AI in their states and how bad it was for them. So wouldn't it be nice if this council could take the time, just go to the states without anybody paying for it other than the city, right? Nobody backing you up, just go and talk to the people in these states. What problems do they have, right? Are these companies backing them? Is their way of life worse? Is it better? You know, and so maybe seeing is believing. You know, you can have people tell you things all the time, but until it affects you, it's in your neighborhood, right? Or you actually see what's going on, you don't believe it until it happens to you. Now, I live about a mile away from this, right? And I'm thinking, ain't no big deal. Now tonight, I'm realizing it is a big deal, right? And these people are highly upset, and they should be, right? So maybe you can go to 1 state or 2 states where they have the same problem, right? And get a better understanding that what these people are telling you is real and how it affects them and how it affects other people's lives in other states before you make a final decision. And so I know it's too late for you to do that probably, but, you know, Sometimes it's never too late to do something. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will close the public session at this time. Mr. Tanetta, do you want to speak or not?
Yes, I would. After the last council meeting, there were a lot of questions. There was a lot of misinformation and, quite frankly, a lack of information, and that's an unfortunate circumstance, and it's nobody's fault that in this audience. But I did want to address some of the things that I found out from speaking with planning, as well as our zoning officer and the attorneys involved in the process. First off, everybody needs to understand that the role of this governing body is a legislative body. They are not a quasi-judicial body. We have two boards. One is the zoning board and one is the planning board. They're semi-autonomous.
Into the mic, Rick. They can't hear you. Hold it if you want.
The two boards are semi-autonomous, which means that they're considered apolitical. I can't even go before that board. I can't represent either of those boards. I do represent the city council. The matter that came up actually went before the planning board and not this council, because the issues dealing with municipal land use law is not a council issue. They can't deal with that. They can pass the legislation upon which the planning board has to follow, which is called our municipal land use laws. They made a determination based upon the application. There were no variances that were required, and it was not a redevelopment project. It was, they followed the underlying zoning in that district, which was an industrial zone. But when they made their determination, any appeal would have to be from that board, and the appeal goes to the Superior Court of New Jersey. It does not come to council. So unfortunately, no appeals were taken. I know there was some discussion people had about notification. I can assure you that they followed the municipal land use laws in terms of notification. There were proper postings in the newspaper. And anybody can check on that. Please, I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking, so
let
please
the man
don't interrupt
speak,
me.
please.
Anybody can check on the municipal land use laws and determine whether the proper zoning notifications were followed. If they were not, you certainly have a right to, again, the appeal from a zoning or a planning board decision goes to the Superior Court of New Jersey. And obviously it would be in Cumberland County because we're in Cumberland County. But again, I can only tell you what I've learned and what I've found, and that's handled by, again, the zoning board and planning board attorney, of which I am not. In any event, because council has no role in the planning decision, all of your statements are well taken and all of your questions are well taken. They typically would come and go before the appropriate board, but that didn't happen. Now, just a little bit of a history on this property, which many people, I guess the older people like me, probably are aware. That property was initially an I-4 zone, which is heavy industry. It was a sand mining facility with its own rail line that went into it. Ultimately, the sand mining closed and the property was purchased by South Jersey Industries. So it has a history of being a heavy industrial use. That was in fact changed by the governing body, changing the zoning to make it an industrial zone. Now, the only thing really that this council has the authority to handle at this juncture is the loan, and that's a UEZ loan. Urban Enterprise Zone loans are governed under the state of New Jersey. They can only be used for economic development purposes. It can't be used for housing. They can't be used to help the poor. They are specific in terms of what they can be used for. And that's what is before council. And just to give everybody an understanding of how that process works, any business can make an application for an urban enterprise loan. They have to meet the criteria under the state statute that it has to be for a particular purpose: economic development, job creation, and tax ratables. The application then goes before an underwriting group that reviews the loan for two things. The first thing they look at is whether the loan meets the criteria under the state statute. The second thing they look at is whether the company or individual who's applying for a loan has the capability of repaying that loan. Whether that loan, if the cranes are worth $50 at the end of this loan is irrelevant, because they're guaranteed by the guarantors on that loan, the company, et cetera. So they're well protected. Underwriting makes sure of that whenever any loan goes out. So underwriting then goes before a committee, and a committee determines whether they would recommend the loan to council to be approved. That's where we are at this point, is whether the loan can be approved. And that's really the only issue that's before the county, before this council. The issue dealing with whether the use is a permitted use, that's already been decided, and not by this council, but by the land use board, who, as I said, is a semi-autonomous board, and it's a judicial board. There were statements made that the company is getting a long-term tax exemption of 20 years. That's simply not the case. They didn't apply for one, nor were they given one. They may be entitled to, and I'm not saying they've even applied for that at this point, to a 5-year tax abatement, which many companies that come to Vineland apply for that. Now, what these abatements and exemptions are for are municipalities like Vineland and Millville. We have to compete with the Swedesboroughs and all these big cities that have the ability to attract these big companies for economic development, job creation, and tax rateables. So we use these tools as an economic incentive to attract people. And again, they have not applied for it. They cannot get one now because the building is built, so they can't get a long-term tax exemption if they wanted one. And there's not, to my knowledge, been any application for a 5-year tax abatement. And just to explain the 5-year tax abatement, if and when they were to get one, the taxes would be paid 100% on the value of the land, and then the improvements are phased in over a period of 5 years, 20, 40, 60, 80 to 100%. And all those payments are in lieu of payment of taxes, so they come to the city of Vineland. Again, the $6.5 million loan, as I said, is a UEZ loan, and so long as it meets the criteria of the state statute and the capability for the borrowers to repay it, there's no real reason, because you don't like the company or you don't like the business, whether it's a cannabis business or whatever, there's no reason for the loan to be denied at this point because of that. And the UEZ loan, the 6%, I know someone had mentioned that that's a low rate. We actually, our UEZ loan rate are the same no matter who it is that comes in. And again, our UEZ loans are an economic incentive to attract companies to come to this area, to provide us jobs and tax rateables. And so this is actually a 1-year loan. And there was reasons why they took out this loan because there was something with the company who manufactured the cranes that had some available, but they had to act quickly, hence the 1-year loan. And so we anticipate approximately $400,000 in income as a result of that loan, plus obviously the repayment. And that $400,000, as well as the $6 million when it comes back to the city in a year, will be used for other economic projects, economic development projects. I know there's been a lot of statements about environmental impact statements. Well, this council cannot order an environmental impact statement. Environmental impact statements are directed by the municipal land use laws, and it's either by the zoning or the planning board. In this instance, would have been a planning board, but only under certain circumstances. And again, I'm no land use attorney, but when I spoke with the attorney who represents the board, he said that the criteria where they would require an environmental impact statement did not exist, because it requires where there's a hazardous material that might otherwise impact the water quality. There is none of that at this point. I don't know if that's going to change, but if they do, they then would have to prepare and provide an environmental impact statement. Water usage was another issue that people talked about. Now, I know a lot of, and I was the same way. I looked and found data on a data center using data from a data center, but the water usage from these older data centers is quite substantial. Correct, everybody was saying, you know, in the millions and gallons of water. However, the newer data centers, such as Data One, they use a different sustainable type of a system, similar to your car. I know you're shaking your head no, but it's a fact, and you can check that out. It's similar to your car, where the water would otherwise be used like in the radiator of your car. It's cooled and recirculated. You never have to put water back into your car. Now, I'm not saying that, from what I understand and what I've been told, that eventually they're going to be using, when they first start up and then for a period of time, about 20 million gallons of water per year. Now, that sounds like a lot, but I'll give you an example. In Vineland, we have the glass company here. Corning uses 97 million gallons a year, and this is 20. There's another company that does produce that uses 76 million gallons per year. So on the end of the day, their usage is probably quite less than most. Now, how that works is the NJDEP provides each municipality an allocation of water. Vineland, for example, has 17 billion gallons allocated them a year. Last year, the city of Vineland had a surplus of over 500 million. I'm not saying we should use that, and no one is saying, oh, we have a surplus, we should use it, but that's just an indication of our water usage. We cannot exceed what DEP allocates to the city of Vineland. So, again, the concept is for this facility to become zero water usage in years to come. Now, again, as I understand, what I've been told is the first year or two, when it's hot, they may use some gallons of water, but they won't use what everybody believes and what I initially thought as well was going to be used. I understand that they're going to have a 4 million gallon tank where they're going to recapture the steam from the water cooling system, and it'll go back into the tank. So that's what I've learned about their water usage over the years. With regards to pollution, pollution is controlled by New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And quite frankly, different than what somebody says, our DEP is probably the strictest in this country. Their regulations are substantial. This company coming in cannot just willy-nilly do whatever they want without complying with DEP standards. So I understand that there will be obviously some pollution, as any industrial use is, but under the DEP standards is considered a minimal pollution category. I'm not saying that they're not going to attempt to do better. That's what I understand this company wants to do, but right now that's what the DEP categorizes them as. And so anybody can contact the DEP. Their records are open. You can search them and find out exactly what it is that they have or will be doing. There's some issues. Some people were talking about noise. Now, there's no industry that I know of or I can think of that doesn't produce some sort of noise. Noise in a residential neighborhood is different than what you would consider noise in industrial use. And again, there are DEP standards that deal with noise and decibel levels, so that will be certainly something that will be kept an eye on. There was a question about the patrol car and who was paying for that. Well, the off-duty officers in the city of Vineland are able to do off-duty work, and they get paid from a company. There's no money that comes from the city of Vineland. It comes from the company. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So cops are authorized to use their equipment that is given to them by the city for a private security
One at a time, please.
If I can answer your question. So a lot of times you'll see police cars parked where South Jersey Industries might be working on a road, or there's a paver company that's doing work on a road. You'll see a Vineland police car or a state police car sometimes. And they're not paid by the taxpayers, they're paid by the company that uses them for that particular purpose. And Vineland has a contract with... I'm not going to address you, sir, because you don't want to listen. If you want to listen to what I have to say, I'll tell you.
City equipment for personal use and private security operations as directed by an external organization.
No different than if you go on our on the City of Vineland Code, you'll see it in there where they would have to pay our officers. I'm not sure what the rate is, but they get paid by South Jersey Gas. They get paid by, you know. Okay, all right. Let me finish.
One at a time, sir.
I'm not here to discuss. The public meeting is closed. I'm trying to give you information that I have. And then the last question people started talking about was information that should be addressed, and rightfully so. It's my understanding when I spoke with the company's attorney that the company was coming in from, I'm not sure if it's Ireland or wherever they're from, and they are in fact going to have a PowerPoint or town hall, if you want to call it that, to address all the questions and point to everything that we're talking about now. And if there's any additional questions, they'll certainly be there for you as well. That's sometime in January. I don't know the date yet, but I'll find that out, and everybody will be notified. It'll be posted on our website as well. That's all I have.
That's it, Rick? Okay. This time we'll move on with the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to move to approve the pre-meeting and regular meeting of November 25th, 2025, pre-meeting, regular meeting, and closed session of December 9th, and the work session of December 16th to be approved as submitted.
So move. Second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Page 4. I present ordinance number 2025-91, an ordinance to amend and supplement ordinance number 8, which provides the classification and compensation plans for the City of Vineland, various Unit 2 and 2 titles, which is ready for a public hearing.
Chair will entertain a motion the ordinance number 2025-91 be taken up for a public hearing of the public for discussion.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes. Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing no one, Chair will entertain a motion the public hearing on ordinance number 2025-91 be closed.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes. Chair entertains a motion ordinance number 2025-91 be taken up for final reading and adopted according to law.
So move. Second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-91, an ordinance to amend and supplement ordinance number 8, which provides the classification and compensation plans for the City of Vineland, various Unit 2 and 2 titles. With a vote of 5 yeas, this ordinance is hereby adopted.
Mr. Franchetta, please submit ordinance number 2025-91 to the mayor for his approval or disapproval.
Present ordinance number 2025-92, an ordinance to amend and supplement ordinance number 8, which provides the classification and compensation plans for the City of Vineland, various Unit 3 and 3 titles, which is ready for a public hearing.
Chair entertains a motion ordinance number 2025-92 be taken up for a public hearing, open to public for discussion.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on ordinance number 2025-92? Seeing no one, Chair will entertain a motion to public hearing on ordinance number 2025-92 be closed.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes. Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-92 be taken up for final reading and adopted according to law.
So move. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Abstain.
Abstains. Vice President Gomez?
Abstain.
Abstains. President Spinelli?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-92, an ordinance to amend and supplement ordinance number 8, which revised the classification and compensation plans for the city of Vineland, various Unit 3 and 3 titles, with a vote of 3 yeas. This ordinance is hereby adopted.
Mr. Franchetta, please submit ordinance number 2025-92 for the mayor for his approval or disapproval.
Yes. I present ordinance number 2025-93, which is ready for first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-93 be taken up for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2025-93, an ordinance authorizing a pilot agreement for project tax exemption for various applicants.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-93 be passed for first reading and a public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Thank you. Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
And President Spinelli?
Yes.
Present ordinance number 2025-94, which is ready for a first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-94 be taken up for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-94, ordinance authorizing the execution of a contract of sale and other documents necessary for the joint acquisition with the CCIA of vacant land for the development of a youth sports facility.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-94 be passed for first reading and that a public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Present ordinance number 2025-95, which is ready for a first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-95 be taken up for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-95, ordinance authorizing the transfer of certain industrial property to the Vineland Industrial Commission pursuant to NJSA 48:12-13, subsection B, for $1 and execution of a recoverable grant.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-95 be passed for first reading and that a public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Present ordinance number 2025-96, which is ready for first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-96 be taken up for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-96, ordinance denying an application to amend ordinance 2004-25 as amended entitled an ordinance adopting the Center City redevelopment plan consistent with Resolution 5203 of the Planning Board of the City of Vineland so as to deny an amendment to Block 4003, Lot 21, consistent with Resolution 6738 of the Planning Board.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-96 be passed for first reading and public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion. Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Present ordinance number 2025-97, which is ready for a first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-97 be taken for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English.
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas.
Yes.
Vice President Gomez.
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-97, ordinance amending ordinance 2004-25 as amended, entitled an ordinance adopting the Center City redevelopment plan consistent with Resolution 5203 of the Planning Board of the City of Vineland, so as to allow a single-family home to be converted to a specialized automobile repair garage at 1316 West Landis Avenue, Block 2707, Lot 16, consistent with Resolution 6739 of the Planning Board.
Chair entertains a motion ordinance number 2025-97 be passed for first reading, that a public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Present ordinance 2025-98, which is ready for first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-98 be taken up for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-98, ordinance amending ordinance 96-4 as amended, Chapter 425, Article 6, Section 425-66 of the Code of the City of Vineland, entitled Procedure for Preliminary Site Plan Approval in accordance with Resolution 6675 of the Code of the City of Vineland Planning Board.
Chair entertains a motion ordinance number 2025-98 be passed for first reading, that a public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Present ordinance number 2025-99, which is ready for first reading.
Chair entertains a motion that ordinance number 2025-99 be taken up for first reading.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-99, ordinance authorizing the qualified purchasing agent of the City of Vineland to award certain contracts without the necessity of action of the governing body and establishing a bid threshold as may be amended from time to time in accordance with NJSA 48:11-3C.
Chair entertains a motion ordinance number 2025-99 be passed for first reading, that a public hearing be held on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Mr. President, I present a communication from Mayor Anthony R. Fernucci, reappointing members of the Planning Board of the City of Vineland, requests the same to be received and filed in the City Clerk's office. Subsequently, I present resolution number 2025-622, a resolution appointing Elizabeth Arthur, a member of City Council, to the Planning Board, Class 3.
Chair entertains a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-622 according to law.
So move. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none.
Dr. Arthur?
Abstain.
Abstention. Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
City Council's approved that all the matters listed below on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial and be adopted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which the items will be removed and considered with an individual vote. All matters on the consent agenda have been presented to City Council during either a work session or pre-meeting conference and appear on the consent agenda without objection. Their titles will not be individually read into the record, but will be properly memorialized in the meeting minutes.
Chair entertains a motion to move to approve all items on the consent agenda.
So move. Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Gomez?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli.
Yes.
Okay. Privilege.
Got privilege of the floor. Order. Liz, anything?
No. Just want to wish everybody a happy, merry holiday. Whatever holiday you're celebrating, I hope that you will celebrated with joy.
No, thank you. Pass.
Nothing at this time.
Nothing at this time. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second.
Second.
Dr. Arthur?
Yes.
Councilmember English?
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas?
Yes.
Vice President Gomez?
Yes.
President Spinelli?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned, 9
Good
o'clock.
evening, Merry